Welcome back to another episode of Format Podcast Live, special Thursday morning edition. Okay, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties the first time around. We did some troubleshooting, me and my guy Steve. So hopefully we'll be good for this go around. And again, I apologize. Don't want to waste anyone's time. I know how valuable that is, and that's something you can never get back. So again, if you weren't here the first time, or if you were, I'll just reiterate, got a really good show here. LeBron James, obviously, he's been involved in this whole thing with Stephen A. Smith over the last, 3 weeks or so. And, that's been a major story in the sports media. And what we want to do is we want to get into him having a full-fledged sit down with Pat McAfee for about, 75 minutes yesterday. And we really want to fully break down everything that he had to say. And I don't want to be the guy that's accused of, cutting things and only playing the negative. So we're going to play the entire episode here for you. And you know how I do. We play it, we stop it, we discuss it, we go back into it. All right. So this one may be a little longer one. Again, apologies for the delay and the technical difficulties first time around, but we hopefully have those resolved for you. Again, we did a little troubleshooting during that short break there. So I appreciate everybody who came back to join in with me and to give your thoughts and to listen as we go along with this. But yeah, man, LeBron James, he hasn't had a whole lot to say about the incident, and don't get me wrong, this whole interview was not just about that incident. He did, I'd say, rather briefly discuss it, but we're going to get into that. And so, I'm going to hit the little spiel and then we'll go ahead and get started. We're not going to waste any time at all. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept aware anytime we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you enjoy the content as you listen, make sure you give us a like, a 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And write it down, put it in your phones, make a note of it. The Format Podcast is live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And finally, if you're really and truly enjoying the podcast and you want to help the show continue to grow, make sure you go ahead, click that join button, join the channel. We're going to have some exclusive content just for you. And shout out to my channel members, man. Shout out to Chief Sid Bubba. What's going on, Chief? I see you. Shout out to Laker Nation. Shout out to Bruce, my main man from B-More. And of course, shout out to It's Not That Serious. And shout out to everybody who comes and joins and interacts in the chat and shows love. Shout out, Kareem. Appreciate you coming back, man. So one of the things I wanted to touch on real quick before we go ahead and get started is that I, as somebody who's a trained journalist and a graduate from, journalism school, understand fully that Pat McAfee is not a journalist, right? But he's given a lot of interviews with a lot of big name people. And I didn't like especially how he handled this particular one in terms of giving LeBron a lot of softballs and not really offering pushback when LeBron says things that are easily verifiable or says things that easily, run perpendicular to things that he said in the past. I'm not a big fan of that, because if I'm doing an interview and, John Jones, I'm just using a random name, says, Bruce, I was out running this morning. I looked up and I saw the sky was blue. Then I'm going to say, but John, a month ago, you told me you were out running and the sky was red. What's going on? What do you account for the difference being? Right. So I say that to say that LeBron is a guy that, if you've listened to him talk over the years, he's a guy that often contradicts himself. Now, that's not to say that your opinions or your stances on things can never change, but he does appear contradictory in many cases, man. And so, I didn't like the way Pat McAfee handled this particular interview. Now, again, got to give him a little grace because he's not a journalist. He was a football player, and now he was in the independent media space, really did his thing. And, now he's a ESPN personality, but also still in the independent media space. So it is what it is. Another quick note. If you watch this show or you're familiar with this channel regularly, you know that I try my very best not to be profane or to use language that people would deem uncomfortable. And the reason for that is I don't ever want you to be in a situation where you're listening to the show, your kids are in the room, or someone who, doesn't take kindly to that sort of language, and you have to change the channel because, someone is offended by the language. So be advised, this interview with Pat McAfee and LeBron James has a great deal of profanity. So I'm just giving you a heads up. So if you have someone around who maybe is sensitive to that, maybe you listen to this later or you let them know so they have the option to move out of the room if need be. But all right, let's go ahead and let's get right to it. That's enough of the explaining. I had a lot more stuff I said on the previous one, but that didn't work out. So let's go and let's get busy and let's start this interview. Pat McAfee, LeBron James, and let's hear what he had to say.
GOAT. And I would say child stars. Okay. Nobody ever talks about that. Been famous since a teenager. Basketball, obviously, and life as a whole, fucking dominating through and through. Just a kid from Akron, ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James. LeBron James.
I appreciate it, man. Definitely been seeing you guys up in here, man. So it's great to come here and be in the studio with you guys.
I told you as soon as you pulled up out there, I walked outside. Black SUV pulls up, turns around, your door opens, and literally I go, holy shit, you're actually here. I thought this was all bullshit. Thank you for taking time and coming and visiting and chatting with us. We're obviously massive fans, dude. I'm 37 years old. Obviously, you're a little bit older than me, but watching you, because I have, because my demo in high school was the one that was watching you dominate. You actually came to Pittsburgh, beat the Pennsylvania All-Stars, which is your high school team. And the whole story. So I've followed your entire career. Massive fan of yours. Thank you for doing this.
I appreciate it.
So if you notice, this is kind of what I was talking about from the beginning. Already he's like bootlicking, and I'm like, okay, man, just conduct the interview. You can rattle off LeBron's amazingly long list of bona fides, all the amazing things he's accomplished as a high school player, and then, coming into the NBA, it would probably take you close to an hour, to rattle off all of the things that he's done and accomplished. I get that, but you don't have to be here like to that level. That was kind of, I didn't like that at all, man. Yeah, that wasn't cool, but let's go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk about it. You're 40 years old now.
Yes, sir.
You've been in the league 22 years, longer than you were not in the league. You're in the league. And you're playing like you're one of the best seasons you've ever had. Yeah. Why is that, you think? Is it comfort? Is it what is it about this year?
I think obviously I've been in the game for a while, so I kind of know what to expect. And, obviously, one, you got to take care of your body, but more importantly, you got to take care of your mind. Being a professional athlete, if your mind is not as sharp as possible or as clear as possible, then you're not going to be able to perform at a high level. I think, seeing what our team is capable of doing, even before, the big acquisition of picking up Luka, I thought we had a good chance of making a good run. So I wanted to make sure that I was there, not only physically, but also mentally and just give to the season. But I felt pretty good, man, throughout the whole season. I know I had a little small injury that kept me out 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, but I'm back and I feel great.
We watched you do the sprint down the court thing. It was hilarious. You're just like 40 years old, doing the same thing you're doing whenever you're 18, 20. Yeah, and we'll talk about the Luka trade. We'll talk about the Lakers, but you talked about, having clarity in mind and feeling good going into the season because you knew you could go on a run. There was that saying, you spent like $1 million on your body or something.
Man, I don't know where the hell that shit came from.
Okay. That's a very fair assessment.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but listen, I do take care of my body, but I have no idea where the amount of money came from. But I do invest in my body for sure, trying to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Obviously a lot of soft tissue work, a lot of massages, a lot of hyperbaric chambers, ice tubs, ice baths. Whatever I can do to continue to play at this level, man, I'm going to continue to do what I'm playing.
You've committed your entire life to ball, right? That's safe to say?
Yeah.
And you love the sport. Is that your drive, is how much you love the sport? Or why do you think at this age you're still going as hard as you
There's no way I'd be still playing, at this level, Pat, if I wasn't in love with it or didn't commit to it. I've had an opportunity to be able to be blessed with a crazy God-given talent. And a lot of us are. To be completely honest, when you find your niche in sports, there's a lot of people that's born with unbelievable talents, but it's literally the ones that really commit to their craft and literally commit to the sport in general. Being able to pour yourself into it is what you're going to get out of it too. So I figured, when I knew I had a gift at 13, 14, that I was out there on the court and I was running past guys and jumping higher and, making passes and doing things that the other 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds wasn't doing. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, shit,
this could be it.
This could be it. Yeah. This could be it. And I'm living in, Section 8 housing. It's me and my mom, we trying to figure it out. And I'm like, oh, shit, if I commit to this, I can figure it out. I can figure it out for not.
So quick side note, is he referring to to his physical abilities in terms of his gifts and not knowing. Because remember, if we remember on the Mind the Game podcast, season 1, before JJ Redick was hired as Lakers head coach, when he was talking about playing, how at 8 years old he could flip plays in his head. So is this a different thing he's referring to? Is he talking about the physical abilities versus the mental? Because if you ever listen to LeBron over time, it's very interesting how he talks about at one point how he didn't start playing basketball till he was like 13. Then on the Mind the Game, he's talking about at 8 years old, he can flip plays in his head and all that. So yeah, I don't know. See, this is what I talk about, where it's always iffy listening to LeBron talk because none of the stuff seems to really add up a lot of times. But let's get back to it.
Only myself, but for my mom, get out of the inner city and make something out of it. So, big time for sure.
And your friends, you've taken care of everybody. And I think that is one of the things that I love the most. We have Rich on here multiple times. I love Rich. He's been very good to us, but just like the way you take care of your people, the way you've kind of done everything is admirable. It never gets talked about, obviously.
No, I appreciate it.
And the chatter that surrounds you, since you have been a guy since you were 13.
Okay, so they're saying 13 again, but Drama Therapy was good, brother. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's think about this real quick. This is something else I thought was interesting. When you heard, first, Chuck Brewer says, no matter if you love him or hate him, you can't fault him for how he takes care of his body. No, you cannot. Clearly, he puts the work in on that. And clearly, he always has put the work in on that. So definitely respect due. Here's another thing. McAfee talks about how he takes care of his friends, how he put his friends on. And a lot of people think that I'm a LeBron hater. I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm honest about what I see in terms of LeBron. And I often give you guys the other side of the coin that's not talked about when it comes to LeBron. But with that to the side, one of the things I truly respect about LeBron is that he put his friends on. And I don't mean he just handed his friends a bunch of money and let them do whatever. He put his friends in positions to learn and succeed, right? He didn't just say, I'm going to open up an agency and give it to my guy, Rich Paul. He opened the door for Rich Paul, I think, to go and work at CAA for like 6 years and learn the agency business before they actually opened up Clutch Sports as an agency. And then Rich Paul now is one of the most prominent and dominant sports agents, in the business. So I have a whole lot of respect for the way in which LeBron went about uplifting his friends from childhood, not just giving them money, but putting them in positions to learn and become successful. It's the old give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. So a lot of respect for the way he went about that. I'm gonna keep it a buck on that. Yes, Steve, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. But you know what? We can also be intelligent people can be objective. But again, when it comes to LeBron fans, I'll say it over and over again. Their minds don't work like normal people. If you don't, bow down before him, wipe his feet, say that he walks on water, raises the dead, and heals the sick, then you're a LeBron hater. That's just how it is. But it is what it is. Let's see. Drama Therapy says, LeBron spent money with a shooting coach and training with Hakeem the Dream that resulted in a championship. So everyone talks about how he trained with Hakeem, but realistically, you didn't see a whole lot of difference in the post game, until recently. And still, he doesn't really have post moves. He just has that. He has that post fadeaway. He doesn't really still have a post game though, but it is what it is. We have an overwhelming media machine that portrays positives about LeBron. So anything critical is automatically deemed hate. Absolutely. It's the modern era we live in, Steve. But let's go ahead and get back to the interview.
And I remember the Hummer story and the shooting deals and everything back then. What's going on now with the NIL? It's completely
right. Yeah. I can imagine if NIL was around when I was in high school. I'd have loaded up big time for sure.
Well, I think you already were, which is part of the problem. Right. But literally, since that you were a superstar, since you're like a teenager, as soon as you get in the NBA, obviously the chosen one, here we go. This is it. You're in Cleveland. You immediately start getting compared to greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And as a person that's in sports, and we are all sports fans, we saw that happen. I assume at the beginning, massive compliment. Is that a massive compliment?
No, it was. I can remember my first game, when I watched the replay, my first game on national television, it was like, will he be one of the one name guys that ever played this game? It was like, and he's like, Will. Kareem, Magic, Bird, Jordan, all these first name guys.
Shaq.
And then at the end, it was like LeBron. And I'm like, fuck, I'm 17 years old. I was like, what the hell is this? Why you guys are giving me this already? It's like, I haven't done anything. And it's like,
okay, this is one thing now that irks me about LeBron. It's the fake humility, right? We know he's not a humble guy. Oh, I'm 17 years old. Yeah, but you were already on the cover of Sports Illustrated multiple times. You already had the chosen one tattooed on your back. You already were given a Hummer when you were in high school, right? So you knew what was expected of you. You already had the big deal from Nike before you ever played a game. You knew what was expected of you. You knew the marketing campaign that was going to go on around you. Don't act like you didn't know this and put out there some fake humility now. Like I don't like that. See, that's why I'm like, LeBron to me is very disingenuous, and we hear it constantly when he talks. But let's go on.
It was a compliment to be able to be, in the names of those guys, but it was also like super fucking scary and intimidating too. It was like, I'm just a small kid from Akron, Ohio. I don't even know what.
Well, very tall, and at that point, a little bit more jacked at the time because the game called for it. But whenever you talk about it being a scary situation, you never let that image out publicly. And I think none of us ever saw you being scared. None of us ever saw you kind of flapped at all. You're an unflappable force, and you've been in the public eye for so long. I think you would probably admit that you probably fucked some things up on the way, but you haven't really. Right. You're like and I said it earlier, child star, like most people, especially you talk about Section 8 housing, coming from nothing to everything, being in the public eye, at some point that is going to collapse a human.
Yeah, for sure.
For you, it feels like it hasn't. And there's been a lot of things said. There's been a lot of fires that you've been put into, either you walked into yourself or thrown into. Why do you think that is the case? Do you think it's because your mom? Do you think it's because of what
I mean, obviously, I give her a lot of credit for the way she raised me, the way she taught me, the things that she was able to instill in me. It was also me also just looking at her, the way she moved and the way how determined she was to be able to make my life better, even with the circumstances that we were growing up in. So I give her a lot of credit. I have some little league coaches too that, taught me about not only just, playing the game and teaching me the game of basketball, but also being a young man, throughout my small adolescent years. And then just like, to be completely honest, like I didn't want to fuck my opportunity up. I knew that the statistics for an inner city black kid to be able to be in a position that I was in, especially from my hometown, it never ever happens.
Never.
It never
works out either.
It never happens, and if it does happen, it never works out. It was I don't I'm gonna throw him under the bus, but the only inspiration like we had was like Jerome Lane, the guy who like dunked and shattered the backboard that played for Pittsburgh. He was from Akron, Ohio. Like we saw that and we was like, oh shit, that's an inspiration. And then I went through high school, and all my boys know this too. Like I went through high school and we was playing against the inner city kids because we went to an all Catholic high school.
Real quick, if you guys are old enough to remember, I think it was the great Billy Packer. He was on that call with Jerome Lane, and he screamed, "Send it in, Jerome!" And that's like one of the, I don't know if that was during March Madness or not, but that's one of the all-time great college basketball calls, man, when Jerome Lane broke the backboard. That was awesome.
And fucking Jerome Lane was like hating on us. I was like, oh, this motherfucker. Like he's back in Akron hating on us, like going against us. And I'm like, oh shit, you was like our only inspiration. We like looked up to you. And I was like, you know what? I can't fuck this opportunity up, man. If I get the opportunity to make it, I gotta do what I have to do to put my city on, to represent my last name on my back, man, my family, my friends, and also like it's sport. Sport has given us so much. I mean, I look around here. I mean, looking baseballs and NFL helmets and basketball jerseys and seriously, like a putt thing. Like seriously, like it's given us so much. So like I couldn't mess the opportunity up.
Well, you've done. I think you figured it out. Yeah. You've done good. Now we'll see what's left. Now the conversation is how many years is he going to play? You look like you could probably play forever. Debo has a question for you.
Right. So kind of on that note, and one of the things people got on you about was when you went to Miami. You go to Miami. I know some great things behind that as well. Me, lifelong Miami Heat fan, I loved it. But what was it like coming down there, winning your first championship, and what was that kind of load lifted off your back? You talk about being amongst the one-name guys. Championships obviously got to come with that. So what was that like going down there and getting that done?
Yeah, I mean, listen, my aspiration was a lot bigger than just, winning MVPs and, being an all-star and, whatever all the individual things is. Before I even got to the NBA, I've always won. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter which level you win on. If you're in a winning environment, that shit carries on throughout the rest of your life. My first year ever playing organized sports, I won a Little League football championship that year, and then backed it up with a basketball championship. Undefeated season. My second year, we did the same thing, and I was league MVP in basketball and football. Through middle school championships, through high school, I won 3 state championships. I was just always born winner, and I knew how to win because of the culture that I was around. I knew how it was supposed to be done. And at that moment, my 7 years in Cleveland, I had some good years, obviously some great years. One, I was able to take the team to the NBA Finals. I was 22 years old. I had a moment in Detroit where I went insane, 25 straight, 29 out of 30.
Okay, so real quick, he says he's a born winner. He knew how it was supposed to be done. Then why did he tell us he left Cleveland because he couldn't win there? See what I'm saying? That would have been a perfect time for McAfee to ask that question, but McAfee, again, not a journalist, and he's not going to do that softball interview, right? So, I mean, I thought that was an easy one to ask. And now you hear him talking about the incredible game that he had. I think it was the 48 special against Detroit in 2007, which was an absolutely phenomenal game. Still a legendary playoff performance, right? Okay, cool. So you get that. And the way he's discussing it lacks humility. Juxtapose that with the other guy he's compared to, or even Kobe. Just juxtapose that with the way Michael Jordan discusses the 63-point game against Boston, in which he was called God. Juxtapose that with which Kobe Bryant discusses the 81-point game against Toronto, which is the second highest scoring game in NBA history, right? These guys don't talk about those experiences the way LeBron talks about his experiences. Now, in fairness, again, LeBron doesn't have to be those guys, but I point those guys out to say LeBron's lack of humility is stunning. But let's go on.
And took a team that you look back at our roster, you're like, what the hell? Yeah. How is that even possible?
There's a lot of those. We don't want to dive into all of them. You were at the finals, like, 45 straight years.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, did you hear that? If you look back at our roster, you will say, what the hell? How was that even possible? So even in discussing this nearly 20 years later, he's disrespecting the other teams he plays with. He can't help himself. He always has to denigrate his teammates, but he's supposed to be such a great teammate, right? He's a better there you go Cass Hoops. Exactly. He's a better teammate than Michael Jordan, right? He's a better teammate than Kobe Bryant, right? That's what they tell us. But he's here disrespecting his teammates. But guess what? Edward and I had this talk yesterday, right? Edward was talking about how bad the team was around him, right? So the 2 years prior to arriving in Cleveland, Larry Hughes averaged 22 points per game in Washington the year prior, 18 points per game the year prior to that. Interesting. So he wasn't a bum, right? Okay. Zydrunas Ilgauskas was an all-star in Cleveland prior to LeBron's arrival and with LeBron. So he's a 2-time all-star. So he wasn't a bum. So you had at least 2 other all-star caliber players on your team. You had a team that during your time there won 60 plus games, I want to say 3 or 4 times, right? Now, I would be disingenuous if I didn't admit that a huge portion of that was LeBron James's mercurial talent in his youth, right? No question. But the point I'm trying to make is there was enough talent on those teams. There was enough talent. So let's not act like, those teams were so terrible. But guess what that does? That is just another way to push the narrative that LeBron is so great that he carries such bad teams to where they need to be, right? Okay, let's go on.
Yeah, so but it got to the point that final season, I was like, I've maximized this potential.
Yeah,
I've squeezed all the juice out of this damn lemon here, and I know it. And in order for me to get to where I want to get to, I have to make a choice for my career going forward. And Miami was the best choice.
Okay, cool. So you squeezed all the juice out of lemon. So again, back to the guy you're most often compared to. I don't know why, but I guess it's just good sports talk and basketball media. Michael Jordan. What if he had said, when he couldn't get through the Pistons 3 years in a row, I've squeezed all the juice that I can out of this lemon. I got to go someplace else. What if he had done that? But he didn't do that. He got back in the lab. He demanded his teammates get back in the lab. He demanded they all get better, bigger, stronger. He led the way with his own behavior and his own work, and they overcame. They slayed the giant, right? What's going on here? What's going on here? Edward, stop that. Stop that, Edward, because you know I haven't said one thing that's untrue. You tell me what lie I've told. Cut that out, man. First of all, no, I just explained to you. You just finished saying they couldn't get an all-star caliber player. Larry Hughes was an all-star caliber player, 22 points a game the year before arriving in Cleveland with LeBron. Zydrunas Ilgauskas was an all-star prior to LeBron's arrival in Cleveland and with LeBron. So here you are. You're now lying, Edward. Don't tell me that I'm wilding with narratives. You're lying because I just gave you the truth. You can look it up if you don't believe me. I just gave you the truth and now you're lying. But let's go ahead.
You know, at that moment, I felt like it was the best choice for me. The conversation I had with D Wade, had with Bosh, had with Udonis Haslam. You know, D Wade and UD had been there. They had won one, had beat Dallas. They had been in some big playoff matchups with Detroit, where Detroit beat them, and then they beat Detroit. You know, things of that nature. And then you look at the big four that Boston had. You know, everybody talk about the big three. But everybody always decides that for some odd reason that Rondo wasn't as great as Rondo was.
Yeah,
it's always just the big three.
He's from Boston.
Not me. They say the big three, but fucking Rondo was he was a dog. He brought it all. He made it all work with those guys because Ray wasn't bringing the ball up. You had Ray flying around. Mm-hmm. You know, you had Paul when he get it at a certain spot, and Paul was a killer. And then you had KG was anchoring the defense, and also you throw it to the low post, but
all right, so Sid Bubba, let me answer this. They ain't Pip. Mike Brown ain't Phil. Wasn't Mike Brown coach of the year before he got fired in hopes of keeping LeBron? Didn't they win 66 games with Mike Brown as head coach? They did. And we need to stop this Phil Jackson thing because who was Phil Jackson before he got with Michael Jordan? I'll wait. He was the head coach of the Albany Patroons in the CBA. He did win a championship there, but let's stop acting like Michael Jordan inherited Phil Jackson, a Hall of Fame head coach. No. Now, was Phil Jackson obviously did he obviously turn out to be an all-time great head coach? Yes, but we got to stop this false narrative that Michael Jordan inherited a Hall of Fame head coach. That's not the case. That's absolutely not the case. As for the Pippen thing, we got to stop that too, because you know this, Sid Bubba. Pippen early on wasn't the Pippen we eventually would see. Michael Jordan, along with his own hard work, helped to forge Pippen into the Pippen that would become a top 50 all-time player and a 6-time champion and the greatest number 2, arguably, in history. So let's stop that, man. I hate when people act like, oh, Pippen came and all of a sudden he saved Michael Jordan. Yeah, that's not exactly how it went. You know that, Sid Bubba, and I know that, man. We got to cut that out, man. We got to stop this. And the whole Phil Jackson thing, we got to stop that too. It's disingenuous. All right, let's carry on.
It all started with the mind, and that was with Rondo. So for me to go down to Miami, it was a terrifying experience for me. Mm-hmm. You got to think, I know a lot of people know, it's the first time I ever left my hometown. I was 25 years old. Yeah, my first 7 years, even though I played for Cleveland, I still lived in Akron. Mm-hmm. So for 25 straight years, I was
awesome house. You had an awesome house. We've seen that. That's a great house.
Yeah, so I'm comfortable.
Okay, so real quick, and then I'll get right back to it, I promise. This is what I talk about when I talk about McAfee doing a poor job with this interview. Why did he have to talk about how awesome LeBron's house was? What does that have to do with this interview? See, this is what I'm talking about. I didn't like it, man. But again, I just got to keep reminding myself McAfee's not a journalist. I just think it was poor how he handled this.
That is my comfortability is being in Akron, Ohio. I drive 30 minutes to Cleveland, play my games, and then I shoot right back down to Akron. I'm good. So for the first time, it's like I've always used the analogy, like I feel like this was my college moment. I didn't go to college, so like going to Miami was my moment to basically get out the house with my parents. I was going off to college, and I learned a lot, man. And shit, 2 championships, 4 finals appearances, 2 more MVPs, and things that I can always look back on and say it was a hell of an experience.
And you got.
So wait a minute, what did he learn in Miami? Because remember, earlier in this very interview, he told us he already knew how to win. He knew how it was done. So what did he learn in Miami? You see what I'm talking about? Where's the pushback? At the very least, you don't have to make the guy you're interviewing look stupid. But if you're interviewing him, ask the question, okay, LeBron, well, what did you learn in Miami? Because, you said earlier a little while ago that you had been a winner your whole time in athletics. And I believe that because LeBron, his physical gifts probably dwarf darn near everybody he ever played against on every level. So we get that. And at the lower level, when you have those overwhelming physical gifts, more often than not, you're going to win, right? So I would have asked, okay, LeBron, you just talked about you learned a lot in Miami. Tell us about what you learned, especially in light of you saying that you'd always been a winner and you knew how it was done. Can you give us a little more insight on that? That's what you do.
That's were the Heatles, that was you were selling out everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, while we on that, you mentioned you did Wade, and I forget which one of them it was, but they told a story about Pat Riley fucking with your cookie.
Yes,
That's real story? Is that a real story?
It's a true story.
Okay,
it's a true story. Now, like Rouse wasn't like. It wasn't like Rouse was on the plane and I was about to get my cookies and Rouse snatched them out of my hand. You know how stories can become a little bit. They kind of build to Sasquatch at some point. Yep. But it was. I mean, I was. There was a time where everyone knows I fucking love chocolate chip cookies. It's like my biggest vice.
Is it specific?
No, it was literally the plane that we were getting on. The ladies on the plane were making chocolate chip cookies.
Shit.
Yeah, so they knew. Yeah, so they were making them and bringing them because we had the same ladies all the time. It was a party of 6. They were rotating every time. They knew I loved chocolate chip cookies, so they would get on. And I would
soft,
a little crispy edge.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. And I would get on, and they already knew. They'd bring me 2 cookies, and I'll get the gambling with the guys, and I got my cookies, and we good. And then one flight I got on, I looked at them, and they looked at me, and I'm like, oh, that look didn't look familiar. And I was like, dude, we got the. He was like, no, we're not allowed to. No more cookies on these flights.
What?
And we all know where it came from. I looked at D-Wade. D-Wade looked at me. He was like, basically, without even saying, he was like, fucking Rouse and done it again. Rouse strikes again. I was like, damn.
So what was it like that? Because they talk about the Heat culture and Pat Riley and obviously him just saying no more cookies. It's LeBron's cookies.
He don't give a fuck. One thing about Rouse, he don't give a fuck about nothing. Listen, if it ain't about that heat shield and covering that heat culture, he don't. I mean, we see what's going on now. I mean, well, not anymore, but we see Jimmy and, it was at one point where even I left and it was time for D-Wade to get paid and he didn't want to pay D-Wade and D-Wade left. I was like, when that happened, I was like, when Wade County had to leave and go to Chicago, I looked at the cookie situation. I was like, oh shit, maybe it wasn't that bad.
Cookies.
I mean, D-Wade's millions and my cookies. I was like, okay, maybe I made it out safe. I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad.
Let's talk about the cultures. Because Cleveland, you talk about at the beginning of your career, making, feeling like you had to go to Miami. Obviously, did go back to Cleveland, win one night.
Man.
That parade was bananas.
Yes,
and then obviously out at LA, what is it about JJ Redick's culture that you have felt, experienced, and obviously a couple games, have not won, but 4th in the West on a playoff push. What is it about JJ Redick and his culture, or what you guys have right now that you like?
JJ Redick's culture, I think a lot of that is that's my buddy, and he lets me pretty much do what I want to do. So, I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. But McAfee did have to ask that question. Real quick, bouncing back to Pat Riley. I don't like how LeBron framed that in, Pat Riley don't give a F about nothing. No, Pat Riley cares about doing his best to win. He's one of the greatest winners the NBA has ever seen. That's what he's about. He's about trying to win, and he's about doing what's best for the organization, not what's best for a particular player. So I don't like that disingenuousness. Oh, Pat Riley don't give a F about nothing. No, he cares about winning. What does he have? 8 championships, and he's been in 24% of all NBA finals as an executive, a coach, and a player. Says a lot. I think clearly his methods work, but we'll find out. Actually, that's a good point, Steve. Does JJ have a culture? It's still year 1, and not even year 1 of he had a culture somewhere else and he brought it with him. He's never been anywhere, so that's a great point. That's a great point. Does he have a culture? I don't know. Okay. No, I don't think he's gonna get JJ Redick fired. I can't see that. All right, let's get back to the interview.
I think the best thing about JJ is that he's just a great podcaster.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. We learned a lot, brother. You guys were talking about like when fucking doubles here, then we round here, then we go under this.
JJ, he's just a podcaster that for some odd reason became a head coach and all because of me. You know, it's just the weirdest thing in the world, and those conversations have died down. But
real quick, why is he so adamant on behaving as if he never has anything to do with anything, when we know that this dude almost always has his fingers in the moves that organizations make? Why don't you just own it, LeBron? Like, seriously, we know how powerful you are. Everybody in sports and sports media knows how powerful you are. Just own it. I think that's the thing that irks people the most is, yeah, Kareem, you're right. I think that's one of the things that really irks people a lot is people know how much power LeBron has and how much influence he has over the organizations for which he plays, but he acts as if he doesn't and expects us to believe that. That's really, really frustrating. Great point. Got ham can, but wants to act like he couldn't get JJ hired. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why he has to act that way, but let's go on.
No. I think one thing about JJ, man, he bleeds the game and he breathes the game of basketball every single day. He's one of those guys that it's kind of just like me. Like if we lose a game or we didn't play up to par, there's no such thing as sleeping that night. There's no such thing of sleeping into the next match, into the next game. And he's just determined to like. He's a dickhead.
Yeah, gotta be.
And I love it. And when I was a kid, I used to watch Duke. Now I realize it. I hated Duke when I was growing up. And then when I got a little older and I started playing with Coach, I started matching up with Coach K. We played with I played with him for the Team USA. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I see why he's great. I see why I hated JJ Redick. You know, I see why I hated Shane Battier. And then Shane came over to us in Miami and helped us win a championship. I was like, I see it. Yep. He's like the greatest guys / dickheads that you ever meet.
Is that all from Coach K? You think JJ has a lot of Coach K in?
Absolutely. He's just he's meant for it. You know, and there's just some things that can't be explained, but when you got the it factor, it's just like, oh yeah,
does he still shoot ever? Is he ever still?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. He'll let us know for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about a guy who made a shot the other day in warmups that was, I don't know how it defied physics. I think Luka, he did this shot up over
from the complete opposite.
Yeah. And then I don't know how that works actually. Like science. I don't know how, but then he'll do one off the fucking Jumbotron. Yeah. Here it is right here. You've seen this, obviously, I assume.
Yeah,
yes. He probably does this type of stuff every single day. What has it been like being his teammate? And I think it was the first game. There was, you guys were calling it up or whatever, and you looked at Luka, and it was a big deal because you said, you don't change a damn thing. We'll change for you, actually, is what you said. And then broke it down. I think it was a big deal for people to hear you say, but also, obviously, Luka as well. What has it been like, and why do you guys have such good chemistry?
I mean, his name is Luka Magic for a reason. And you see that. You see his play on the game. He's a very transcendent player. And you talking about that moment, you got to think, I can't put myself in his shoes because I've never been traded before, but I can have a sense and be a human being to know you commit to a franchise for 7 years and you feel like, this is the place where I'm going to be. This is my comfort. I talk about my comfort before I went to Miami, and then out of nowhere, bam, you just get traded. I don't give a damn where you're going. It doesn't matter who you're pairing with. That's a shock to your system. It's a shock to your system. And, even though, he was ready to play, that moment, I feel like that had to be said because he is still that guy. Mm-hmm. In order for us to reach our potential, he has to be that guy. He has to fit out, and we'll figure it out. Let us figure it out with you, because we need you to be who you are. But it's definitely, I lost a dear friend and a great friend and a champion, duo with AD. Miss him to death. And but we was able to gain Luka Magic, I think both sides will.
A lot of people thought you two wouldn't be able to.
So real quick before they go on, I thought this was interesting when he's talking about, I lost a dear friend, a good friend, or whatever it was he said just now about AD. But there's been more and more stuff leaking out. I know that Dreamers Pro, Charles Stefanski, shout out to him. He talks about it a lot in terms of just little breadcrumbs that are letting people know that LeBron may well have known in advance. And, you know, one of the simplest things is like, I can't imagine that Rich Paul, AD's agent, couldn't have known that trade was coming. And even if he did, okay, how's he going to know? And LeBron's not going to know. And he's also LeBron's agent. And obviously they're friends going back many, many years. How's that going to happen? Also, what was it? There was the business of, I think, LeBron saying that he wanted Markieff Morris included in the trade. So I was like, how do you do that? How do you say who you wanted involved in the trade, but then you didn't know? So like, it's little stuff, you know, but again, there's that business of LeBron always wanting to pretend as if he doesn't have his hands in things. Again, if you have that power, you had no problem flexing it to get your son drafted. So you don't have to hide anymore. Let people know that you're pulling the strings. I mean, it is what it is.
Work together because ball dominant, you know. LeBron James too much of a prima donna. Yeah, that's right. Not gonna let Luka come in and do the Luka shit. And they won't be able to figure it out.
Yeah, it must be the idiots that don't know the game of basketball. Oh my goodness, there's so many of those guys out there right now.
I would say your league, you, and your league has the most absurd chatter.
Oh my goodness,
it really
is every single day. And then you realize you was like, I'll be looking at it and I hear it. I'm like, you know, those guys a lot of those guys that played the game or did not play the game, it was just they played the game while they were talented. I don't think they ever thought the game. I don't think they were ever smart.
Again, right back to it. Do you hear Kobe and Michael, Dream, Tim Duncan, the other all-time greats talking like this, Kareem? Like, whether or not it's true, there's again, I keep going back to it, man. The general lack of humility and this constant need to puff yourself up. And this is the question I keep asking. If LeBron is what he says he is, why does he have this need, this obsessive need to try and convince everybody constantly? I mean, it's a simple enough question.
I just think they were bigger and stronger and maybe faster at the time, and they dominated. And when it was over, it was over. You know, that's why I'm able to still play at fucking 40 years old.
Well, that's what everybody talks about.
Yeah, my mind is just like, I can play the game because I can outthink the guys out there. And as my athleticism has went down a notch, not a lot, but a notch.
Don't you little fat too?
You know, as my athleticism has went down a notch, like I'm able to still bring up other facets of my game to be able to still, you know, do what I need to do every single night. But the talking heads of our sport, oh my goodness.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Especially for you. I mean, you're in a much different situation than maybe any other human in history of sport.
Why does LeBron act as if he doesn't benefit from all these talking heads? Why? Think about this. I've mentioned this before. If 2 weeks go by and LeBron, for whatever reason, Lakers not playing well, LeBron's not playing well, whatever, and I don't know if we've ever seen a 2-week stretch where LeBron didn't play well at some point. So I'm just making an example, but let's just say that, right? Lakers aren't playing well for a 2-week stretch. Isn't it always interesting how LeBron has to do or say something to kind of get right back into the media cycle? He pretends he doesn't like all this attention, but he knows, and you can tell he very much subscribes to, there's no such thing as bad publicity. We see it all the time. It drives me insane how people's all y'all do is talk about LeBron. All y'all do is talk about LeBron. And now he's talking about the talking heads in the media. And now you got McAfee basically bootlicking once again. Oh, no one's had to ever deal with this like you have, which is not true. They just had to deal with it in a different way for their time, but fine. Why are they acting as if LeBron doesn't also benefit from all of this attention? We got to stop this. It's just such a lie. But let's go on.
If I had to guess. And like I said, at the beginning, it's a compliment, though. Like, they're immediately telling this teenager that we need to talk about him as if he is Michael Jordan, who obviously transcended the sport, changed the sport forever, and everything like that. But then it gets to the point where it's like, hey, this is a real conversation. It almost immediately becomes divisive. This is an interesting concept here. You probably lost a lot of trust in media, I would assume, because of the things that happened, not just what was said on TV, but what it led other people to probably think they should say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it all started with the decision.
he lost a lot of trust in media. The media has helped propel him to a place where he doesn't belong over all these years. How has he lost a lot of trust in media when he constantly utilizes the media to get what he wants? He's on the media right now pushing propaganda, but he's lost trust in media. You see the disingenuousness, if not flat out lies? Carry on.
It all started with the decision. The decision really like had me like sit back and like, because people literally like, I give a moment. So the decision, you know, it was brought to me to be able to, you know, do something cool on TV, you know, do a kind of college style. Like I said, never had went to college. I was like, you know, this would be pretty cool. Make the decision, put the hat on, but also, you know, raise $2.5 million for a great cause, you know, and also be able to, you know, make it cool.
All right, so I get that. $2.5 million, I think, for the Boys and Girls Clubs in Connecticut, I think. I don't know if it was Ohio or Connecticut. But the point is, that was very good. I'm going to give him all the props in the world on that. However, LeBron, this was not like going to college and having that experience. One, if you wanted that experience so badly, you wouldn't have accepted the Hummer and whatever else you accepted, so you could have gone to college. But that's a whole different story, right? I'm not mad at you for going pro and getting your money. That's fine. But the point I'm trying to make here is, again, you're being disingenuous because that's not like going to college. And if we're real, right, most jobs you have, when you leave, you got to give 2 weeks notice. He doesn't seem to see anything wrong with the fact that Dan Gilbert, the guy who had bent over backwards and paid him tens of millions of dollars, probably more than $100 million over those 7 years, he didn't even let him know that he was going to, you know, move on and take his talents to South Beach. Like that was really, really bad. Like he could have let his owner, quote unquote, know what his plan, what he was going to do. Like, listen, thank you for everything, but I'm going to go on and I'm going to go somewhere else. Like, why should the guy who paid you hundreds of millions of dollars have to find out on national TV like everyone else? And he doesn't see anything wrong with that. He doesn't see anything wrong with that. Edward, no, it's not about turning something positive into a negative. And that's not why he doesn't trust the media. He doesn't trust the media because there are some people in the media that aren't going to act like he's the second coming of God Almighty, right? Well, that's why he doesn't trust the media. Anyone who does not bootlick and bow and scrape for him, he's not going to trust them. So he needs to stop that because he loves the media, because the media has made him tons of money. The media has elevated him to places he should not be. So he loves the media. We got to stop that. And it's so amazing to me, Edward, how you are one of those people that can't see anything that LeBron does as wrong or inappropriate. You worship this dude. It's wild. It's wild. But you're entitled to feel how you feel about it. Let's carry on.
And the funniest thing is, from that moment, it was December 2nd, 2010 was my first game back to Cleveland. So, I stay at the hotel, stay at the Ritz downtown in Cleveland. And this one I knew that it was, people did not even really care or didn't even understand the situation. They just wanted to be a part of the nonsense. I hit the elevator to go downstairs to the bus, catch the bus, to go over to, I think it was the Q, the Quicken Loans Arena then. And the elevator opens and there's two guys, random guys on the elevator. You guys can always pull this up. They used to have these FUKLBJ t-shirts, black t-shirts, red letters. And I see the two guys, they see me, they say, oh my fucking God. Oh, no, listen, this is, man, we love you so much, man. We're just here for the spectacle, man. We're just here for the spectacle. Like, seriously, we love you, man, and have a good get. And the elevator door closed. I was like,
those are two white dudes, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I didn't want to say it. Because we're outnumbered right now. It was like, oh my God, man, we fucking love you, man. Like, oh shit, don't. In the elevator closed. I was like, you know what? This is all part of the spectacle, and it's about to get haywire.
So the decision, you think, is whenever the conversation kind of changed a little bit about you?
Yeah, because they just needed something. They needed something. Everything was so positive. You know, and and I gave them no reason to make it negative.
It wasn't fucking up.
But they needed anything. You know, I'm doing everything I need to do on the court. I'm not out in the streets. I'm not being caught in all the bullshit that doesn't respect the game and respect my craft. It was like, oh, you decided to go on TV and make a decision for your career. We got you. We got it. We finally got it. We finally made a little chink in the armor.
We got something.
It's
selfish.
Oh, it's selfish. Yeah. You selfish mother. Yeah.
And then that caught a little bit of fire, right? Because a lot of people don't like seeing people that are successful in anything, especially if somebody's taking happiness from them and their team, which you were doing, obviously, with the Cavs. And then that just got, you're saying from that moment is until, which leads obviously to you and Stephen A. Hey, legit, that feels like a moment that had been brewing for a long time.
He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now.
Oh yeah, we're watching it. Yeah, we're all seeing it.
Oh yeah,
you're seeing it as well.
He literally, it started off with, I didn't want to address it.
All right, here we go. So let's pay attention here because there's going to be some more disingenuousness. And again, like I said, I will be breaking down Stephen A. Smith's retort to all of this. I don't know if I'm going to do it today. I may do it this afternoon. But the point is, he's going to say some interesting things here. And we'll go on.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it. But since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
Hey, you would be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you can address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously, and like another, he completely like missed the whole point. The whole point. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household.
How did Stephen A. ever attack LeBron's household? See, what LeBron is doing here, and there's a lot of people that are going to fall for it, he is trying to move the goalposts. He's trying to create a narrative. How, anybody in the chat, you tell me, how did Stephen A. ever attack LeBron's household that LeBron felt the need to protect his damn household, as he just said? Somebody tell me. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't two of his tightest boys, D. Wade and Melo, talk about how LeBron felt that he was going at Bronny, right? How LeBron felt that Stephen A. was going at Bronny, right? And as well as going at him as a father. I don't know which one it is. Is it Bronny? Is it LeBron? Which one is it, right? Sid Bubba knows the answer. I know the answer, but it's really interesting how that works, right? So you say, I'm never against someone critiquing players, but you don't want anyone critiquing your son. Is he not a player? I thought he was. What's going on here? Can we please get all this in line? See, this is the problem when you're dealing with guys like this, right? They say consistently contradictory things, and no one ever holds them to account for it. But let's continue.
But protect the players, and I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about him. Oh my God, he's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair in his tidy whities on the couch.
Why would LeBron? See, I mentioned this last night for those of you who were here. Why would LeBron refer to Stephen A.'s underwear? I really don't understand. Like, I can't get past that. What type of grown man talks about what type of underwear another man is wearing? What is that? What are you doing? What is that about? That wasn't cool. Like, oh, it's tidy whities eating ice cream. Or you're a grown man with a beautiful wife and a family, multiple children, and you're imagining another man eating ice cream in tidy whities on his couch. I'm gonna leave that alone.
I hope at some point you two do get a chance. But you're right.
Like relax, bro. Like relax. Like seriously, just
How do you feel about the way the game is covered and new players are covered? Because this is a big topic of conversation with the NBA. We have Tyrese Halliburton. Who comes through. We love Tyrese.
Oh, he's
the man. Tyrese loves you too.
Tyrese is great. Love that guy.
So Tyrese gave me the heads up. Like, hey, LeBron coming on your show is a massive ordeal because like everybody in the NBA. like does look up, like LeBron is our guy. Like I think Pat Beverly told the story down at the bubble whenever everybody was like, we need to take a stand and yada, yada, yada. And then I think he was the person who went up and said, hey, you, if you're fucking playing, we're all playing. If you're not playing, we're not playing. But I think that's how everybody in the league feels about you. So congrats on that, by the way. The respect amongst your peers.
No, for real.
Sure.
I had a respect for my peers. That means a lot. And I carry that, man. And I take that with a lot of responsibility because there was too many years went by when players did not have an opportunity to just speak and their voices to be heard or allow the narrative to get so much outside of sports. Like if I miss a game winner or if I don't show up in the finals, you know, like I was supposed to versus Dallas in year 1 in Miami, you can say whatever the fuck you want. You know, I should have been a lot better. I know.
I got to give LeBron credit for this. I think that's the first time I've really heard him truly take accountability for a failure somewhere. Now, let's also keep in mind, on the Mind the Game podcast with JJ Redick, prior to him becoming the Lakers head coach, he also blamed the quote unquote minimums, right? He blamed the role players on the team for them not winning that championship. But let's carry on.
But like, don't take it to, you know, my household or take it to what's going on and other guys. Like I seen something with Embiid where a reporter came into the locker room and started speaking about, like, I think his brother or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like how weird is that? Like, that's so weird. Like,
so here's the thing, like LeBron brings up the Embiid brother situation, right? I forgot to bring that, but there's actually more context on that as to why he referenced the brother. Like people don't randomly reference things, right? Here's the thing about athletes. They want to be more than an athlete, right? And they are, right? They're not just dudes who go out there and run a ball or shoot a ball. They are more than athletes. They are in-depth people with different characters and different layers to themselves and their personalities. True indeed, right? And all of the different parts of our lives and people involved in our lives and things we go through make us who we are, and who we are, all of that has something to do with the player that we may become as an athlete, right? And so these players now, they want to be more than an athlete, but when you go outside of them just being an athlete to talk about the things that make them who they are and make them the type of player that they are, they get upset, and you're supposed to keep it between the lines. Well, which is it? Somebody answer me that. Which is it? Are you more than an athlete, or are you just a ball player? Pick one.
Why are we taking it to that point? Mm-hmm. And we're taking it to that point because people have gotten too comfortable. I think people in the media have gotten too comfortable, especially with our sport. They got too comfortable where, you know, back in the day, like for sure, you would never bring up Charles Oakley's brother.
Yeah.
Charles Oakley will smack you through his brother. Mad Max, like his name was Mad Max for a reason. It wasn't because he picked you up 94 feet. It was because if you said something about Mad Max, like he's gonna separate your jaw, and there was no repercussions from that. Like
Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, Oakley is known for smacking people. Mad Max used to get into it with everybody. He fire temper. Why is LeBron comparing himself to Mad Max and Charles Oakley? Why? Does he not know that with elevated position comes elevated expectation and responsibility? See, this is what I talk about, being disingenuous. He knows who he's talking to, and he knows who he's dealing with when he says these things. Because again, McAfee would say at this point, but LeBron, those guys aren't on your level, right? LeBron, you're seen by most people as a Mount Rushmore player. LeBron, in most people's estimation, you're in the GOAT argument. LeBron, many people have you as the greatest player of all time. So with that lofty positioning, do you think that maybe their expectations for you are higher, thus their reaction when you behave a certain way is different than it would be for a Charles Oakley or a Vernon Maxwell? But again, no pushback. No question to that front, to that extent. This is what I'm talking about. But McAfee's not a journalist. But I just say it to say, like, it's this interview is super lazy. But again, he knew what he was doing. Let's go.
They got to the point where they knew, like, oh, you know, these guys can't really do anything to us anymore because there would be a fine, suspension, and, you know, or
don't embarrass the league.
Yeah, and don't embarrass the league, or you know, you now here come your sponsors, they're coming after us or coming after you, and they're gonna be like, what are you doing? Like, that's when they decided they could, you know, thought.
So the conversation about the old school basketball is a real thing. Like, because that's the new narrative now, is like it's a nostalgia issue. Like a lot of people who grew up in a different era of basketball and get introduced to basketball, they're going to like that era regardless of no matter what happens in the future. You've played through what now? 3 years? 3 years?
Yeah.
Back whenever Kuzi was doing no-look pass. He had the first ever no-look pass. Kuzi.
Yep. He's a dog.
Hey, he was an exciting white, wasn't he? He was an exciting white. He was
that game. Cruz that game for sure.
Boom.
Thank you.
That game.
Yeah, but we're watching these highlights, and I'll speak for you.
For that era.
Exactly. Thank you. Hey, you don't have to say this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll say this.
Yeah, game for that.
I grew up in Pittsburgh, so we didn't have an NBA team. So I was more an NHL guy, but I would watch the Lake Show at night because I couldn't sleep. So I did know the NBA, but not like I didn't follow it as closely. When I watched The Last Dance, I was watching a lot of highlights, and I was watching people dribble a ball like this, and I was like, I don't know how that works in modern basketball. I think you guys have played a couple different sports. I think there was a Kuzi era of sports where a no-look pass, holy shit. Then there was an era where people were starting to get like nasty or some more.
You had Pistol Pete Maravich, he started coming in and started, getting a little bit nasty. But then the ball was hitting off guys' heads and stuff, so they looking at him like, oh, what are you doing? Like,
never see those lowlights though. Only see the highlights. Highlights are the only bangers survive. Then obviously Jordan comes in and transforms everything. Him dunking from the foul line, massive ordeal. He made a whole fucking brand off it. He's flying. Now kids are like dunking from the 3-point line in high school. It's like it's just like the game has evolved so much. I think, but there is like a nostalgia component that takes place with you guys this modern era. Do you feel that? How do you address that?
No. I definitely feel it, and I think we just have to recognize that evolution is just a part of life, man. Like, shit, you look at the Hummer from the 1970s.
I talked about this last night. The Hummer wasn't around 1970s. 1970s, they were still using Jeeps. Hummer didn't come into existence till the 80s. And President Reagan gave Arnold Schwarzenegger a Hummer. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was the first civilian to ever own one. But that's a whole nother thing.
To the Hummer of today, you're going to be like, okay, you might be nostalgic about it. You loved it in the 70s, but do you really want to drive that every day right now in 2025? You're going to get out the car and your goddamn neck and your back is going to be hurting so bad. Like, seriously, you're going to be hurting so bad. You're going to be like, okay, you know what? This might be just a Sunday chill car. Like, I drive it up the street, get some ice cream, come back home. But
refill it because it gets too much.
Yeah, exactly. I got to just start it up, let it just crank the gas for about 2 hours just to make sure it's still running. But like we have to understand that there's players and eras and things of that nature. Like, we get it, but like, you watch some of the NFL games as well from the 70s and the 80s, and you got like, Jack Lambert and those guys coming through like completely decapitate people. Like murder. Ronnie Lott tore his pinky off and then went to the sideline. I was like, just tear the rest of it off and get back out there. Like I get it. Like, those are nostalgic moments, but like the game is different, and we should respect all eras in that era. We can't be saying, okay, just because Wilt was great in the 60s and 70s that he'll be great now. And we also can't say that some of the guys now will be great. It is what it is. Respect.
Wilt would be destructive if he played today. Let's think about this. Look at what Jokic is doing today. Are you telling me that if Wilt Chamberlain played today, he couldn't average 40? Maybe not the 50 he averaged in 62, 63, but he's definitely getting 40 and 25 rebounds a game. Wilt is arguably one of the greatest physical specimens, if not the greatest physical specimen who ever played. Come on, man. Come on. LeBron knows this. But what he can't do, right? What he can't do is give the past too much credit, because that ruins the whole narrative that partly puts him in places where he shouldn't be. He can't do that. So he's got to talk all this. Let's go on.
Respect that era and we move on. But every single day that he's better, he's not better, he wouldn't. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
Hincha, he wouldn't be able to do it.
Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s.
Obviously, he was being facetious when he threw out the number 250 points, but there's a couple of things here. One, and the great Rick Barry talked about this. I actually did a show couple of years ago with Rick Barry talking about the rules changes and how that affected everything. And anyway, go check that out. I think that show got like 55,000 views. But anyway, go check that out. It's a good show. But the point I'm trying to make is if Giannis played in the 70s, Giannis would average like 10 points a game and or get benched because all that traveling and carrying that he does, he get pulled out all the time for the turnovers. If we're talking about his physical gifts, yeah, he would be a problem physically. But Giannis, he lacks the fundamentals and the basic skills to be an exceptional player in the 70s. And same thing with LeBron. Like, obviously, physically, these dudes will be freaks in nature. They would probably look like Martians playing in the 70s, but also game was exceedingly more physical back then. But again, LeBron knows what he's doing, right? Because most of the people that he's talking to and that are listening to him lack the reference point or even the interest to go back and check and see who were the great players of the 70s and what it was about, right? Also, he's very slick because what do we always talk about? The 90s, right? That was the whole point of the we're done with the 90s movement. We always talk about the 80s and the 90s. And notice he did not attempt to put himself or Giannis in the 90s. He put him in the 70s because in the 90s, Giannis would be in big trouble. Super athletic, but he'd be in big trouble because he lacks the skills and he travels and carries all the time. So LeBron knows what he's doing. Let's go ahead.
250.
Is that Cousy? When was Cousy playing?
Cousy.
Cousy's locking up fucking Giannis.
He's not 50.
And that's no disrespect. Like, it's no disrespect, but like, seriously, like Kyrie Irving. Like,
they would have called him a witch. They would have called him a witch.
No, they would have told Kyrie, you're not. You know how they used to tell Lou Alcindor at the time that he couldn't dunk in high school games? Yeah. They would have told Kyrie, you're not allowed to dribble anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what they would have told him. Dribbling is out rude. They would have seen that.
So how tall are you?
I'm 6'9".
And how heavy are you?
I'm give or take in between 215 to 280. I don't know. Depends on the day. Okay. Depends on if you give me my cookies or not.
Pat Riley's like, we're tipping too close to 280. LeBron, the Beatles are becoming a heavyweight battle. Yeah. So 6'9".
Yeah.
Let's say you're you look very thin right now.
Yeah. I feel good.
So 215, 6'9", 220. Could easily get to 260 though. I think that would play in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, I see. Come on, I could play.
Just like
I would be able to play in any area. It's funny you hear some of the older guys like LeBron James couldn't play in this area.
Never been fouled by Bill Laimbeer before.
Yeah. I think I seen like Dennis Rodman say that one time. It was like LeBron James not skilled enough. Not big enough. He's not. Doesn't weigh enough. He's not strong enough.
Can't handle.
That's not true. Dennis Rodman actually spoke to it. And I think I read those comments last night when he was talking about LeBron and being a bully and just having the size. Now, he said he didn't have any moves. Now, this is before the last couple of years where LeBron developed a much more reliable 3-point and mid-range jump shot. But yeah, I definitely think that LeBron, first of all, Rodman would rarely have to defend LeBron because LeBron would not be going down there trying to post Rodman up. We know that's one of the weakest parts of his game. Now, here's the other problem. If he had to play against Scottie Pippen, when he tries to put the ball on the floor, Scottie's going the other way with it because he's turning it over. Like, I always talk about this. For someone who's had the ball in their hands a majority of their basketball career, for the life of me, I can't understand why LeBron doesn't have a better handle and why he's constantly dribbling off of his own feet. But it is what it is. Yeah, he probably should get those Dennis Rodman quotes correct before he uses them.
I'm like, okay.
Okay, let's talk about you flopping all over the place. Yeah. That's why people get mad.
Yeah, I know.
Now, why do you do that? Patrick Mahomes does the same thing. He's the greatest of all time. For us, in the conversation of the greatest of all time, the rules indicate
in the conversation
that if you're to hit him, he gets 15.
No doubt.
Is that the same thing for you?
I wish. Because
Hey, Mark with glasses. First of all, thank you for being here. Second of all, I respect that you have an opinion. But the one thing I'll say, and you can say I sound like Skip Bayless, but I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everybody else when I talk about LeBron. Whether you agree or not, tell me one lie that you've ever heard me say about LeBron James. I'll leave it right there. No one can ever say that I told a lie about LeBron.
I am like literally over like the last 5-6 years why everybody's been claiming I flop all the time. I'm like in the bottom half of free throw attempts per game.
So let me share this with y'all. So LeBron constantly tries to tell us that he's not a flopper. So here we go again. I'll just share my little compilation that I put together. And someone could tell me if LeBron's not a flopper. Oh, look, somebody just must have shot him from the stands. Oh, there's another one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at how Grayson Allen, one of the dirtiest players ever, looked at that. Oh, here we go. Oh, God. Here we go. Pow. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. LeBron doesn't flop, though. I love it. He tells us all the time he doesn't flop. I know he doesn't flop. He doesn't. Oh, he's got a broken neck there. He probably should go out. Now he tries to walk it off. He's not getting enough attention. Oh, so you got to add some more sauce onto that. Oh, okay. Oh, my gosh. Nowhere near him, and now he's blinded. Okay. And then he winks at the camera. So we got to stop this business of believing LeBron when he says he doesn't flop because, well, clearly he does. Carrying on with the audio.
Oh, they won't give you the whistle.
You don't get the whistle.
No.
Superstar treatment?
You know the funny thing is, I have a lot of teammates that be like, they come to the Lakers, and they be like, man, when I used to play against you, I just think you got every goddamn call, and I hated it. And now that I'm your teammate, it's like, oh my goodness, you don't get any calls. I'm like, hey, don't worry about
Bubba,
it.
that's beyond.
Wait till you see me in the third quarter. I got good flop. I practiced on this one last night because there's a video from the Last Dance where I think the ref says to Michael Jordan, he goes, I didn't see it, Michael. I am so sorry. I would never do that to you. And walks away. Yeah, I believe you, Michael. Yeah, that's the clip. And
I saw that. And Michael's like, oh, God damn it. Yeah, I saw that. Oh,
okay, so you and Michael at a good spot.
Me and Michael?
Jordan?
Yeah, we're a good spot. We don't talk.
Why not, you think?
Because I'm still playing. I'm still focused on my craft right now.
When you're done, you think you two
I hope so.
can have a conversation?
I hope so. The funny thing is, like me and Kobe, besides our, the late great Kobe, obviously, me and Kobe never had a real relationship either until we was on the Olympic team. We had a great relationship there. Olympic team 8, Olympic team 12, but it was always competitive between us. We were always like, I was on the East Coast, he was on the West Coast, and it was like, even though we never, I fucked up one time in 09 and didn't beat Orlando, and I think it was 09, didn't beat Orlando and didn't get an opportunity to play him in the finals. But like, and until I became a Laker and then he retired, that's when our relationship like became really, really good.
Yeah.
He like welcomed me, called me like, bro, anything you need in LA, like I got you. You're a Laker now, your family, and we would have multiple conversations. It was obviously you got someone coming to a lot of games and things of that nature. And when I passed him in the scoring record in Philly, I think he had a tweet out there like, keep on going, like keep transcending the game, keep going, like, and that shit like meant so much to me. So like, I think it's because I'm still playing, and MJ's, we all know MJ, even if you don't know him personally. He's one of the most ruthless competitors there is. And till I'm done, and he doesn't have to look at me run up and down wearing the number 23, and every time my name is mentioned with his, he's like, I don't want to fucking talk to you.
Yeah, I'm on a golf course. Yeah, I'm on a golf course.
Don't talk to me right now. I'm on the back nine. Do not call me.
It was great to see y'all at the.
Does he really think that MJ is worried about him? Obviously, I don't know MJ, but I'm curious, does he really believe what he just said, that Michael Jordan is thinking about him? I don't think so. I really don't. Like, Michael Jordan gets asked these questions about LeBron whenever, he does decide to speak about anything. He doesn't look remotely concerned with LeBron. I find it very interesting the way LeBron framed all of that. Edward, so you talking about Kobe Glazers. Aren't you a LeBron Glazer? Like, isn't that interesting how that works? Everybody glazes everybody else except LeBron. How does that work? Come on, man.
The top 75.
Oh, yeah, that was dope.
Yeah,
that's straight respect, admiration, and just like, me for sure. I mean, shit, like I said, I wear 23 because of MJ, and that shit, the inspiration that he gave me as a kid at Akron, Ohio, that don't have much inspiration in your hometown. You look at something. It got to be somebody in sports, somebody in music, somebody on the TV screen. So like Will Smith on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Michael Jordan playing for the Bulls, Jay-Z, Biggie, and Tupac. That was like,
yeah,
and that was my inspirations. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed that because I didn't have like
Lang.
Jerome Lang.
Yeah.
He's like, they know me and shit. So like, you know what I'm saying?
Kind of on that note, Bronny, yes, sir.
Yeah.
You obviously had that inspiration in the home, and you talked about it since years ago, wanting to play long enough to play with your son. So you obviously visualized that. How was the real moment with that happening? Because I know me seeing it, seeing the Griffey's there, seeing it, like that was just an unbelievable moment. So what was that like for you, really actually being in it?
Like, seeing that pop fly head towards King Griffey Sr., and then see Junior over there right before the ball got to his glove, and he snatched it out the air and run back to the dugout, like laughing at his pops. Like, that was a cool ass moment. And for that moment, that game, that home opener versus Minnesota, and then just over there and see Griffey Jr., man, the kid, and seeing his pops over there, and us getting that picture at half court, and then us going out on the floor and having that moment. I wasn't even there. I wasn't even there.
You're floating.
I'm floating, and I can
right there.
I can only imagine what Bronny was. I don't know. We haven't even talked about it yet. At some point we will, but I wasn't even there. Like, I might have been in the rafters. I might have been at home. My body may have been at home watching the game, watching the moment. I completely was not there. And but damn, that was an unbelievable moment, man, for me to be able to like have that dream, be able to speak it into existence, for it to come to fruition, for my mom and my wife and my daughter and my youngest son to be there. It was like, I started thinking about everything from what the hell he went through not less than a year before with his
he almost died?
Yeah, his cardiac arrest, man.
That came out of nowhere, seemingly.
That came out of nowhere. It was a birth defect that quite honestly, if he never played sports or he never like started to become, strong and run fast and all that stuff, we probably would never have to worry about it. But as he got stronger and things of that nature, it was just something inside his heart that, was just pounding at his heart and pounding at his lungs that unfortunately we had the incident. And thankfully, a lot of these kids we've been seeing a lot lately in sports, not only in basketball, but in football.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we was able to catch it. And to all the families out there that haven't had the opportunity to catch their kids before it gets to the point where they're not here anymore. Like, to see that happen to Bronny, and for him to be able to play that same year after that happened, at USC, and then less than a year later be drafted by the Lakers, and then in that fall we go out there together. So that's why I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like we walked in together, but I was not there.
That's a dad moment. That's really cool.
Yeah,
people forget, you're only one name now, LeBron, but you're still a human too. And I assume
for sure.
Your baby boy.
Yeah.
You the chance to experience his dream.
Man.
Then obviously that led to the thing with.
So real quick, before they get into this, I guess they're going to get back into the Stephen A piece. I feel a lot of what LeBron said there, again, as a father and having a son. I have a son and I have a daughter. So I feel some of that. But wasn't it interesting to y'all when he first started talking about it, how he talked about his dream and speaking it into reality and all that, which is the same thing I said from the very beginning, well before any of this LeBron Stephen A stuff, well before he forced the Lakers to draft Bronny, well before Bronny said that he was coming out into the draft. Years ago, when LeBron said that it was his dream to play with Bronny, I kept saying it. This has nothing to do with Bronny. This is about LeBron. But the LeBroniacs somehow managed to move that goalpost and make it about Bronny when it's not and never has been. And y'all know that. But let's go.
Stephen A. talking about him and how critical everybody has been of Bronny. And I think that's a pressure that a second generation star has on him. His whole life he's had that. It feels like he is he's like a 55-year-old, it looks like, the way he kind of handles it all. And I think you've even said that as well. Yeah. But how about his development? We had Rich Paul on the day after the draft. Yeah. Because there was a bunch of rumors about Rich Paul was telling teams, hey, you draft him, we'll send him to Australia.
Yeah. Real quick, Horizon Vibes, Sid Bubba, yes. That was hilarious when KG was talking. Dream Trash Talk was so sophisticated, man. I'm out there trying to tee him up, and Dream is yelling, I am hitting him with lateral movement. That was one of the funniest things KD ever said. KG, I'm sorry. I was weak when I heard that. Oh my gosh. That was classic. That was classic, man. Dream is my guy.
Hakeem, your dream.
That's my guy. My favorite player ever. Just incredible. Anyway, let's carry on.
There's a lot of those types of things happening. Likely the Suns were involved. There was a chance they could get you, but he ends up with the Lakers with you. Yeah. And obviously it's a whole storm. Like LeBron James is bullying, blah, 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 blah. Everything, the way it always goes.
Of course.
So real quick, Mark with glasses, it's not about that. But I can tell you this. LeBron James could save a family from a burning building, but I bet you he makes sure he identifies where the cameras are first. Then he say, hey, I'm going to get him. Because that's how he moves. So, take it how you want to take it, man. I mean, at the end of the day, the fact is this. The reason that so many people think about me, what they think about me in regards to LeBron, is because I'm not a bootlicking, LeBron-worshipping sycophant like so many are. I'm not going to be that. I don't have to be that. And I'll never be that. And so people can't understand it. Like, why is Bruce always giving the other side of the coin? Because y'all get the other side of the coin, that he can do no wrong, damn near 24/7 on all these sports media platforms. So why am I going to do that? I've said before, he's one of the all-time great players. I've said he's had one of the all-time great careers, right? I've said that, but that's not good enough for you people. So it's going to be what it's going to be. Back to the interview.
This guy's not good enough. This guy's not this. He does start out a little bit rough NBA-wise. But now, I mean, he just dropped 39 last night in the G League. Yeah. I think he had like a double-double or something. He had his best game in the NBA last week. Yeah. He's obviously getting better and better. You have to be loving every moment. And how proud of Bronny are you for what he's going through?
Listen, for me as a dad, it doesn't matter if he never scores, ever. For me as a dad, I'm just super proud of him, period, as a young man.
Okay, I'm sure you are proud of him as a young man, but you're lying again. Why does it not matter to you if he never scores when before he even entered the league, you said he was better than some of these cats in the NBA right now? Why does it matter to you if he never scores? It doesn't matter to you if he never scores when you said that he could help the Lakers right now after the Lakers lost a game and you were sitting back tweeting, right? You see how you lie as if people don't remember what you say and do, LeBron? This is why people like me get irritated, because he lies. He can't just be honest. That's the problem. Let's carry on.
For me, as a mentor and as a teammate of his, and that wants to see him thrive because I've seen the work he's put into the game, I am super proud of his development to where he is now. From the moment that, he was drafted in June of 2025 to us being now in March of 2026, his development is skyrocketed.
That's true.
And I just think I had a good friend of mine, who went through a cardiac arrest as well. And he told me that,
he's developed a lot faster than I thought.
And he played basketball as well. And back then when it happened to him in the early 2000s, they wasn't with going back to performing. It was like, if it happened, it's over with.
We're not rolling the dice.
Yeah, we're not rolling the dice. There was not enough data on it. It's like you have a cardiac arrest. It is over. We don't want this on our resume. They was not going back to perform the play. And he told me, he was like, man, I'm going to be honest. It took me about 2.5 years to finally get back to just normalcy. Like my body, my mind. And, he said when it happened to me, I was 23 years old. Bronny was 19 years old, and he's like, it's going to take a little time. And I reason with that, but also he's doing things right now, less than 2 years, and it's because of his determination and his will to want to get better and his will to I don't really care what y'all saying. I hear it. You did an article the other day. It was like, I hear the noise. I use it as motivation, but I also know what I'm capable of. And, I've always told my kids, all of them, they all play sports. 2 basketball players. My youngest son going to Arizona on a full ride. My daughter's.
What is he, 7 foot tall? That came out of nowhere. Bryce, right?
Yeah.
He popped up out of nowhere because we follow your family on the internet, obviously. We see it all. And it's like Bronny, okay, and then Lil Bryce. Yeah. Lil Bryce with the glasses.
Right, exactly.
And then all of a sudden, one video popped up of it also, and Bryce.
Wait
a minute.
So he on his way to Arizona. My daughter's, she's playing 12 and under volleyball. She just turned 10. So like, and I just tell them like, it doesn't matter about the noise. That's going to happen. It's only about like, if you love it, go out and practice. If you think you want to, if you fall in love with it, you only can fall in love with the process. Don't worry about the outcome. Fall in love with the process, and that shit will take care of itself. So super proud of Bronny, man. I know very long-winded when you talk about the kids. I just started thinking about them, but super proud of his game and where he is today. You know, starting off the G League season was like, you know, just trying to figure it out, and now, shit, like you said last night, 39. Mm-hmm. And more than anything, when I talked to him, he was more pissed off at the technical free throw that he missed more than anything. He's like, I could have had a 40 ball. He said, I could have had a 40 ball and I missed that damn technical free throw. So, man, the kid is he's awesome.
He's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, I respect your opinions, and I respect that we don't have to agree on everything, but my question remains, and you haven't answered it. Tell me one lie that I've said about LeBron James. That's all I want to know. One lie, just one. Let me know.
It is, and the story has gotten so loud, and I think that's why listening to you talk and you say you get long-winded about the kid, it's like, well, that's why everything happened. That happened a couple weeks ago. But like you playing with him, obviously was a dream. Said that years ago. Bryce now, though, I mean,
very possible.
That is.
Oh, don't do that to me.
You said you're 215, nowhere near 280. You're in the best shape.
Exactly.
The best shape you've been in. That conversation's loud.
So you hear LeBron just say, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. But he loves the fact that it's out there. Can he stay around long enough to play with Bryce? Could that be another milestone they'll hit? Him and his two sons playing together. Him continuing to push the scoring and assist records out of reach and the rebounds, right? He loves that, man. Why are we acting as it? See, all right, there we go. But yeah, Mark with glasses, still waiting for you to tell me what lies I've told, man, since it's a quote unquote hit piece.
About how many more does LeBron James have? I think the league, I bet you Adam Silver is wondering the same exact thing because of what you've done for the league, for how long you've done it. That convo pops up every year. Is it for you too, or is it just for outside people?
No, it's popping up more and more every year because obviously I know I'm on the other side of the hill than the previous side, you know, so I've done this for a long time, and then obviously I know it's like, okay, now you get to the top of that roller coaster, and it's like, okay, when is this damn roller coaster going to go down?
Kennywood,
you know, like, so I understand that. So I don't know, man. It's all about, for real, for me, it's my mind. If I could continue to, I am all about the process. Like, I am all about the process, and if it gets to the point where I don't feel like showing up to the arena 5 hours in advance, or I don't feel like training, or I don't feel like studying the scout sheet of guys. Like, if it gets to that point, like, I know, like, you know what, Brian, it's a wrap.
Yeah, you'll be able to tell.
Yeah, you'll be able to tell.
Yeah, you will be personally. Yeah. 5 hours before the game, you're showing up every day?
Yeah, 7:30 game. I'm usually there around 2:15.
What do we got? We got a cold tub. We're drinking putting some wine on our feet. Sure. What are we doing?
Doing a little bit of everything for sure. I'm just wine, drink a little wine too.
Well, I saw you walking into the game. Remember the big booze bag? Oh yeah. I was walking with the wine to the game. Yeah, I remember that. Mailed it in. LeBron's showing up drunk. Everything you do. Talked about.
Yeah, I had one former Laker. I wasn't even playing. It was preseason. I had worked out before the game. I wasn't playing like a former Laker. I was on the bench, like, you know, eating fruit. Like, you know, I worked out. I had, okay, shit, I got a shower. Let me get out here to watch the guys, support the guys during a preseason game. It was like year fucking 20 for me, probably. Why am I even going out here for a preseason game? But I'm a good guy. I love my teammates. I'm a good teammate. So I go out there, and the next day I wake up as a fucking Laker guy who played for the Lakers. I know you guys are going to look this up. It's like, look this up. Like, that's very selfish. But why is he over there eating fruit? What are you doing? He could have did that in the back, or he could have had that at home. I'm like, bro, I'm literally just trying to, like, replenish everything I just lost in my workout.
It's not about LeBron being selfish. That's not it. It's just about the look of professionalism, right? And in just about every industry, I guess professionalism is defined differently over time. But I'm trying to think if we've ever seen, I guess, who was it I was talking to last night? Was it Edward saying that they did the same thing for Kyrie? Although Edward made an an unfair analogy, right? He made a dissimilar analogy because obviously Kyrie Irving is fasting for Ramadan. And so they made sure that they have some fruits and rehydration and shakes and stuff like that in the back for him. So again, I've never seen him, Kyrie, eating on the bench, but that's what Edward said he saw. So I'm going to take his word for it. I know Edward's not a liar. But with that said, it's about the look of professionalism and LeBron. So I think that's when, I think it was Edward, right? That was it you we were talking about that with? Kyrie eating fruit on the bench as well? I think we talked about that. So what I was trying to say is it's definitely not the same thing. Kyrie breaking fast for a religious observance and having a little bit of fruit right there, and LeBron James. Because if we also remember, Kyrie was actually playing in that game. So he gets some fruit and then gets back in there, get that instant liquid as well as natural sugar boost. So I wouldn't say that was the same thing. But other than that, I don't recollect ever having seen another NBA player eating or drinking wine or whatever it was on the bench. So, there's that. Edward, I said I believe you, man. You don't have to send it to me, but let's carry on. But that's the point why, and it's amazing to me that, LeBron can't see why someone would have an issue with him sitting there eating on the bench. But, I mean, man, we got what we got.
In the weight room and in the back that you didn't see, but you worry about me about a damn bowl of fruit, everything.
You're not being committed, is LeBron James, this guy's not committed. Not committed.
Like I had a steak and eggs over there or some shit. Like, I don't know, man.
Something to think about.
That might be next. Give him something really think
a little protein in there. Connor, massive Boston Celtics fan, has a question.
Who's Boston Celtics fan? Who knows? This might not be the year, but looking at the league and looking forward, the big convo is, once LeBron is gone, who's the face of the league? Everyone's talking about the face of the league. As a Celtics fan, of course, I say, like, why doesn't Jason Tatum get more love? But even talking about the future, when for you did you become the face of the league? Like, what year was it? Obviously, right away, you're getting talked about as a one-name guy. But when did you feel like, okay, this is officially my league? Like, I am taking over this entire team?
I never had that notion. And never like woke up like, after I brushed my teeth, was like, this is my league. I'm the face of the league. God damn it.
Shinies up.
I'm a shinies up. But I did know there was a responsibility put on me to carry the league in a certain fashion. And you gotta think that like before I entered the league and like right after MJ retired, after he came back the second or third time, he came back and he was done with Washington. There was a big fan player separation with our league. They just wasn't resonating with a lot of the players, or a lot of guys was didn't really care, or whatever the case may be. And I felt like in order for myself to make a name for myself, obviously I knew the play was going to take care of itself because I know how much I committed to it, but also I wanted to handle the responsibility of showing a face of the league in the sense of like a modern citizen, being a role model. It was, we have guys who, didn't want to be a role model to the sport, or didn't want to be a role model to the game, didn't want to appreciate the game or commit to the game. And I felt like, I had an opportunity to not only play the game that I love, but also I wanted fans to follow me. I wanted people to follow my journey. And what came out of that was me kind of being, I guess people say, the face of the league.
Yeah, the Sprite commercials.
Like, what I'm saying? So like, I never went out to be like, I want to be the face of the league. Like,
so he may not have ever said he wanted to be the face of the league, but if we also remember, LeBron is on record saying that he wanted to make that other number 23 disappear. Just leave it at that.
I seen I see a lot of shit too. Like I seen Brian Windhurst on one of these shows not too long ago. Like
Wendy.
Yeah, you played
Wendy. You guys played together in high school.
Yeah,
right? He was on your high school.
This guy was like, says he's like my fucking best friend. These guys are just weird. But
wait.
Okay, so see, I didn't like this at all, right? Why would you take a shot at Brian Windhorst? And Stephen A will discuss this when we get to Stephen A's retort at a later time. But why would you take a shot at Brian Windhorst when he is one of the main dudes, one of your biggest supporters in the media? I don't understand this. You take a shot at Brian Windhorst when, again, you're on wax. And see, this is where McAfee fails in this thing. LeBron is on wax saying that nobody knows him better than Brian Windhorst does, right? Or nobody in the media knows him better than Brian Windhorst does. This is a guy who has been there for you, covered you. Now, don't get me wrong. LeBron has obviously made Brian Windhorst a ton of money, right? But Brian Windhorst has pretty much been LeBron's publicist all these years, right? And you have the nerve, as Stephen A says, the nerve, the temerity, the unmitigated gall to take a shot at Brian Windhorst, one of your biggest supporters in the NBA media. That was dirty. I didn't like that at all. But what have I always said about LeBron? LeBron is a dude that if he feels you have basically outlived your usefulness to him, he has no value for you anymore. So, you know.
Wait, that's not real.
Yeah, he was our force around. Yeah, he went on his show and said, you know, like, oh, don't let LeBron fool you. Like, he wears number 23 because of Michael Jordan. Okay, that's a fact. He signed with Nike because of Michael Jordan. It's like, no, the fuck I didn't. I signed with Nike because I got a hell of a signing bonus and they gave me a 7-year, $90 million contract. And I moved my mom out of the hood the next day I signed that contract. Like, and ultimately, my whole thing is like, what do I want to wear off the court? I was like, I want to wear fucking Nikes. Like, I want to wear Jordans. I want to wear pennies. I want to wear Bo Jacksons. I want to wear Air Maxes. I want to wear, like, you know, so
Primes.
Like, you know, like, what are we talking about? So, like, I knew there was a responsibility for sure. Like, listen, man, during the ball drop, you know, during the lottery drop, Cleveland got the number 1 pick. I just don't think that was.
What are you saying? Don't you?
Okay, so that was interesting right there. Obviously, the NBA is why you have been able to live the life that you live. And shouts to you for that, because clearly you've put your work in. When I say you, I mean LeBron, to be able to get to this point, no doubt. But why would you expose the NBA for fixing the draft? Why would you do that? I don't see. This is what I'm saying. Again, it's coming down to the end for LeBron. And all of a sudden, all this stuff is coming out from him, from former teammates, coaches, journalists, etc. It's all coming out. Why would you put it out there that the NBA is fixing the draft? I don't understand this at all.
Wemby with the Spurs.
Oh my God! Let's keep LeBron home. You know what? Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. You know, Derrick Rose to the Bulls. I understand the assignment, guys. I had to make sure that, you know, I had to do my part. I didn't want to be a fuck up. I just didn't want to be a fuck up, man. Like I said earlier in the show, like, no one gets this opportunity, man. It's 0 to none, and I couldn't be a fuck up. So that's what came with it.
You've done a great job representing it all. Do you feel like we are at a phase, though, and you talked about before you got in the league, there was like a potential disconnect between the players and the fans.
Yeah.
Felt like that was almost starting to happen again until, I don't want to say, back half of this season. Feels like most momentum you guys have had a while. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I agree with that. I think it's all just understanding, you know, from a player perspective. And also, we're getting closer to playoffs. You know, it's a long ass season, man. You know, just between us and the NFL, man, there's so much excitement, but it's one game a week, and you get an opportunity to get excited, like when, you know, that's Sunday, or you got Thursday night games now.
Monday.
I mean, shit, even occasionally Saturday games.
Christmas. It took Christmas from you guys.
Christmas, so fucking Grinch. Like, but no, in all seriousness, like, you know, it's one game a week, so you like, you know, the excitement, you know, is there. So, you know, you have us. You know, we just came out of playing 6 games in 8 days. You know, 6 games in 8 days is like, oh man, and 3 sets of back to back. So, but the playoffs is on its way. The weather is getting better. The excitement is getting, you know, the crunch time is like, you know, in the West is, you know, you got 4 or 5 teams, 1 or 2 games from behind each other. You know, so I think that's the connection is coming back. Everyone loves it, and now you got March Madness going on in college basketball.
You follow?
So I'm gonna be honest, no. I don't follow, man. I don't do the brackets. I love the sport. I watch occasionally some games, but it's hard watching college basketball for me, man.
One. So here's the thought for me, and he's going to say something else in a minute. I think part of the reason that it's hard for him to watch college basketball is because college basketball runs, like when you watch, you can see these teams running actual systems, right? And he doesn't like systems. You can see that based on his play all these years. But you can see in college, coaches actually have players run real systems, and LeBron doesn't like that. But there's something else that you're going to hear that I'm going to point to in a minute.
Different sport.
Yeah, it's a different
sport. You guys play?
Yeah, it's a different sport from when we play. And every time a kid drives, a kid can just come out of nowhere and slide up underneath him, and it's always a charge.
So that's one. LeBron doesn't like the defense actually getting a call. He loves to be able to get the offensive foul unfettered. That's one.
You can't do a Euro step. It's a travel.
Well, Derek Queen, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a travel. So he doesn't like actually being called to the rules. But they mentioned Derek Queen. We'll get to him in a quick second.
Kid from Maryland. I don't know if you saw that.
Gather step. I love it.
So you see that. LeBron loves the gather step. Why does he love the gather step? Because he's never had great footwork, and he loves to be able to travel. But since they mentioned Derek Queen, let's just show Derek Queen in that travel real quick here. So we see Derek Queen. This was the game winner against Colorado State. Incredible move. You see him take 3 steps there, right? Clearly a travel. Now, he gets an amazing buzzer-beating shot. Absolutely incredible shot. He had stones to make that. But if we're honest, he traveled 1, 2, 3. That's what LeBron says he hates. Actual adherence to the rule. A player cannot take more than 2 steps without dribbling after gathering the ball. So, that's what he hates about college basketball. And he just told us he doesn't like actually being held to the rules. But let's carry on.
So pick that ball, gather 1, 2 off glass, game time. And I just don't, you shouldn't need 35 seconds to shoot the damn basketball. It's but it's it's the game.
I hate 2 halves. Why is that a thing?
Yeah, the only sport, right? The only level.
Women's went to 4 quarters, right? Yeah. What we want 2 halves for? It's long. It's so I don't know what's 1 half.
Yeah,
it's too long. It's long.
It's long, and then they got to stack the timeouts because of commercials too. Whenever the gameplay, I think the 4 quarters kind of helps TV as well.
It does. It does, and it helps the players too. Like it's 4 quarters and. That's too long. You get a kid who gets 2 fouls in the first half. He can't play again. He's sitting over there for an hour of real time. It's like you don't want to see your favorite player in college because that's what the game is built on. Like you get your favorite player. Like if Cooper Flagg right now gets 2 fouls in the first half, you're like, I don't want to watch this Duke game anymore.
Do you feel like this next generation? Because Wemby is obviously
he's a stud.
He's unbelievable.
He's unbelievable.
But Joker is also 6'11", whatever it is. KD obviously says he's not 7 foot, like he is.
And then he's always taller than everybody at the All-Star Weekend photos for some odd reason.
But he obviously, whenever he came into the league, and I think Dirk also big shooter, but like the tall, multifaceted player is the next generation, right?
Yeah, that's their inspiration. Their inspiration is Dirk. Their inspiration is KD, their inspiration, all those guys who you look at KD, 6'9" to 7 foot, depending on what he wants to tell you. That great handle, the smoothness, to be able to, shoot off the dribble and also be able to catch and shoot and be able to look silky smooth out there while being the tallest guy on the court.
And they're doing koozie stuff.
Exactly.
Somehow, I don't know how they're doing. I don't know how they're doing.
So KD's big time inspiration to guys like Wemby, to guys like Cooper Flagg, who's coming in. You have a lot of these guys. So
Chet has
Chet as well.
This Derek Queen kid, 6'10".
Yeah.
6'10". He's in the. I don't know if you heard about him saying, "Give me the motherfucking ball."
Yeah, I'm from Baltimore.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic.
I'm from Baltimore. One of my best friends from Baltimore, Carmelo Anthony. So I get it. I get it. Give me the damn ball, and he wanted the ball.
That's what I told him in the conversation. I was like, Baltimore is one of the cities where if you give an answer on why are you a confident human, I'm from Baltimore. Everybody's like, okay.
There's no follow-up question to that. Okay, got it. I got it.
Ty has a question for you.
So obviously you could play another 10 years if you really wanted to. I mean, it really does seem like that. But as you've gotten older, I mean, you have all this other shit off the court. You have the production studio, the podcast, all that kind of stuff that you're doing, all these different business ventures. How hard is it focusing on a lot of that stuff and not letting everything you have to do basketball wise kind of suffer? Because I mean, you don't seem like the kind of guy where it's like you're going to start a production studio and just be like, fuck it, you guys handle everything. I'll attach my name to it. But like, how difficult is that balancing those two? Because this is obviously some stuff that you seem like you're passionate about. And
for sure. I definitely got some great people in place. My right hand man, Maverick Carter, he's unbelievable.
Dog, huh?
He's a dog. And the greatest thing about him is his ability to, create relationships that last long. And we've never been just one-off guys. Like, we want to be able to create partnerships, and not like endorsement deals. Like, that was like a thing of the past. That was something that we didn't want to do. So the trust that I have with him, I allow him because of shit I've been knowing him my whole life. And when you have that type of chemistry and you have that type of brotherhood and that type of trust, you allow him to do it. But also, he's always checking in with me like, hey, listen, this is what we have going down the pipeline, yay or nay. This is why I feel it would be beneficial to us. But ultimately, like, do you want to do it or not? So like in this instance, like, I got to the point where, you brought that up and why I started, the podcast Mind the Game with JJ, last year. It was like, it was a looseness of the sport being covered and how the sport should be covered. It had got away from the essence of the game of basketball, of why I fell in love with the game, why I teach the younger generation the game, why I am in the position, that I am in. And we have that conversation. Me and Matt was like, okay, I got what you're saying. Okay, let me go figure it out. And he goes to figure it out. So,
I learned so much from that show. I legitimately did. Now, obviously, looking back on it, it was just you interviewing JJ.
Yeah. So let me say this. Shout out to the Mind the Game podcast. And if you go back on this show, this is not something new that I said. Even back then when I was talking about the show and I had things that I'm sure most people would perceive to be negative that I said about it, I did say that I did learn some stuff from the show. So it wasn't something that I didn't like watching. It's just I knew what I was going to get in watching it, but I also did take from it what I could in terms of, learning some of the basketball X's and O's type things. And that was cool. So I'm not even mad at that. So yeah, shout out to the Mind the Game pod.
Lakers, that entire thing. But I assumed JJ was going to become a head coach after that show regardless. Because the way you guys talked about it, to your point about never hearing it be discussed like that, legitimately, as a football person, as another sport person, never played basketball, whenever you guys were drawing up plays and like why you do this and debating on how to cover and all that, I felt like I got smarter as a basketball fan. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for that alongside JJ. And also congratulations, season 2, Mind the Game.
Season 2.
Wow, it's back.
I'm going to clap all night, but I'm going to clap on that. Yes, sir.
Well timed, well done to go ahead and release that, let people know it was coming out and when. Very smart move. Pat McAfee's got a huge platform. LeBron James is a huge name. He knew that a ton of people, myself included, would be tuned in listening to that. Another brilliant marketing move by LeBron. Got to give him props for that.
Season 2, man.
With
Steve Nash, man.
Okay.
The great Steve Nash, man.
So he's been a coach before, obviously, and obviously he's played a long time in the NBA. Yes. I had one chance to interview Steve Nash, and I learned about him in real time. And I think he played a lot of years.
Yeah, legend. For sure. Legend.
Two-time MVP.
Whatever years.
MVP, yeah.
I looked at him and I said, you played blank amount of years? And he goes, yeah. I go, holy shit, man. Yeah. I literally learned it in real time. Legend out there.
Absolutely.
But also loves the game, obsessed with the game, which feels like why it could potentially be a great fit for season 2 of Mind the Game.
No, absolutely. We're looking forward to it, man. We got an episode, 2 episodes in the bank. We're going to get a couple more soon, and we're going to just like continue to, preach the game, how it's supposed to be taught, how it's supposed to be viewed. And, we understand that, some of the other things is going to be said, it sells for them, but what we've grown to love, why me and JJ did it in the first place, why me and Steve are doing it now, is because this is how we grew up loving the game. This is what brought us together. This is what the essence of the game should be talked to not only the generation that's playing now, but the generation that's going to come up after us. So Mind the Game season 2 coming out, man.
Can't wait. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Can we talk about a couple things real quick that we have covered?
Absolutely.
Taco Tuesday. You saw that? Is that real?
It's today Tuesday.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Tuesday.
That was quite a situation. Barbershop, another one.
Oh, yeah, man, the shop. Oh, yeah. I grew up in it. That was easy. That was another easy one, man. It was like too many conversations that's going on right now. That's not the essence. It's not the essence. Man, I remember getting dropped off as a 5-year-old. Mom dropped you off. She go do what the hell she had to go do, make her errands. She talked to the guy that's cutting your how many he's behind? About 3 or 4. Okay, about 3 hours. Shit. Been there about 3 hours, and I gotta wait there and sit there and wait my turn. And in that moment, that's when you hear everything. You start hearing about the best MC that's going on right now.
Real quick, again, I'm not trying to judge. What parent would drop their kid off in a barbershop in the hood for 3 hours and leave him there at 5 years old? Does that sound like it makes any sense to you? I'm not saying he's lying, but LeBron says a lot of things that to me don't make sense. Let's see. You could put a Y for yes, N for no in the chat. If you have kids and if you would drop off your 5-year-old kid at a barbershop in the hood for 3 hours and leave him there and come back. I'm just curious to know, because I'll start it off. No, I don't live in the hood anymore. And that's no slight to anyone who does. But I don't live in the hood anymore. And even still, there's no way I would leave my 8-year-old son in the barbershop for 3 hours and come back. Furthermore, 5-year-old. So I'm just curious to know what the rest of y'all think. Right. Are there any yeses? Are there any yeses in the chat for this? I'm really curious to know, because that just doesn't sound like a good move to me. I don't know. Maybe Delonte Westwood. Who knows? Anyway.
The best hair product, the best beard oil, the best people in sports. Your music. It is everything.
Drama.
Everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing goes on in the barbershop. So, for us to be able to create that platform in the shop, to be able to bring on all the beautiful minds that we've brought onto the shop, men and women, it's been a pleasure, it's been an honor, and we're keeping that thing going, man, because it's a comfort place. I went to the barbershop from when I was like 5 all the way through high school. And
okay, Nino, yeah, let me hear your thoughts on this. You say you used to get dropped off all the time. The hood was different way back then. People didn't really mess with it to some extent, right? But how old were you, and how long do you remember, like, how long you would be in the barbershop by yourself? Even, okay, let's just say not even necessarily safety, right? Because we all know as men, like, the stuff we talk about in barbershops is crazy, right? Whether it's some of the music they play or, let's be real, we talk about women in the barbershop too. Like, why does a 5-year-old, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Like, letting a kid sit there and hear that stuff unsupervised, like, I don't know if that's the best move. So I am curious to know, how old were you, Nino? And do you remember, like, how long you would be in there? I'm just saying, I have kids, and I can't imagine leaving my son in the barbershop for 3 hours. And the cats in the shop are cool. We're not in a theoretically dangerous place, so I'm not necessarily worried about his safety. It just doesn't seem like the right move to do, period.
And to be able to have that sense of like truth. It's the one place of truth where you can go out there and be like, this is who I like. All right, that's who you like, and we're going to fight to the battle about it.
Yeah. So he's talking about, the debates that go on in barbershops, right? We all know about that. The funny thing is, his show, The Barbershop, everybody seems to agree with each other. That's not a real barbershop environment. That sounds mad phony to me, but carrying on.
And it'd be a new topic the next day. And, I think it's pretty cool.
You guys did a couple watch-alongs, too, for Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, man, that was dope. You guys know my love for the sport of football. So to be able to do that.
You wouldn't be able to take a shot, though, remember?
Yeah,
6'9", 250 pounds, wouldn't be able to handle football.
Yeah, man, a lot of, I wouldn't be allowed to do a lot of things, they say. I got my little high school highlights up there. versus Benedictine. That's where Rich Paul went to high school, by the way. Yeah, I was playing against Rich Paul High School there.
One of the greatest American hustlers of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
Legit,
for
I think the record will state that Rich Paul may be one of the greatest hustlers of all time. You're from Ohio, so obviously football state.
Yeah, man.
Obviously basketball as well.
Yep.
You love the game. I think you've talked openly about how much you love ball.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Football is my first sport, man, my first love. I grew up big time, prime time Deion Sanders fan. Big time Eric Metcalf fan too. Growing up in Akron and seeing him up in Cleveland, seeing Eric Metcalf do his thing up there too, man. Seattle's finest, Eric Metcalf. And I just grew up just always loving the sport, man. Like, seeing Jerry Rice and seeing some of the old clips of like Walter Payton Sweetness and seeing Barry Sanders. That was another topic of conversation in like the barbershop. Barry Sanders versus Emmitt Smith.
Oh yeah.
So you hear that conversation, So I remember my mom buying me a pair of Barry Sanders sneakers. I was like, oh man.
You felt so quick.
Yeah, I felt so quick.
Yeah. Elusive as shit.
And it was like, I don't know if they was one of the first teams, obviously I don't know that for a fact, but like seeing Barry Sanders on turf, wearing sneakers, that was super cool as a kid. So yeah, it's a great sport. I mean, I love it. I love football and I love the new guys now. Like they're super cool. My favorite guy, Derrick Henry, without seeing Saquon like out there, and I got guys like wearing my shoes now.
Yeah.
When Saquon did that move where he like turned backwards and did a pirouette backwards and jumped up in the air and like he had my kicks on. I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I didn't know those were yours. They were sick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. He had the LeBron Retro 4s on in a spike. When he did that,
spin move nasty.
Oh my goodness.
Those were in the bronze.
Yes. I was super, I was going crazy. I couldn't believe it.
I didn't even know that.
So I love it.
Okay, let's talk about something else that we have to address. The Olympics. You saw your eyes blink sideways. What was that all about? What was that? What the fuck was that? Hey, I need to know what happened. Does that always happen? Your eyes always blink like that, or is that just at the Olympics?
I don't know. That was probably like my Michael Jackson Thriller video moment. When he went from he kind of turned into that beast of his. I don't know, man. I saw that and it kind of freaked me out too.
Yeah, okay.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you also saw it. You also saw it and thought the same thing everybody else did. Okay.
Yeah, there was people like, oh my God, he's actually there in Paris and he may be at his home in California at the same time.
This guy's not a human.
Yeah, this guy's not human.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
That was a real conversation that was happening.
Oh yeah.
And I watched it a couple times. I was like,
hold on.
I'll tell you what.
I mean, I can't sit here and say that it was not real, was not real. Just leave it at that.
I don't know if I'm running out of tolerance for hearing LeBron talk and McAfee lick his boots, but I have no idea what this eyes blinking sideways thing has to do with anything. Can someone in the chat explain that to me, please? Because I'm totally lost on that one.
Okay.
Just leave it at that.
Fair enough. Okay, when you think about the rest of the season and you think about this Lakers team, you guys will have success if what?
Wow. Well, obviously, we could go without saying any team, health. Health. That's the most important for our team. We are not in a position where we can afford anybody to go down. And then after that, Luka, myself, and AR-15, we got to be all clicking at the same time. And we know there's going to be games where, that happens throughout the course of a playoff game where, I may not be making my shots or whatever, or AR's not making the shots, or Luka might not be making the shots. But as far when I say clicking, we have to be in tune on what we got to do every single night because we got to make sure everybody's in the right place every single game. The playoffs is literally one possession to have you losing a series. One possession can make you lose a series, and it's up to us three. Obviously, I know my voice and what I command out of guys, that's going to be heard. Luka's play, some people lead by example, and the way AR, his affections play, we have to make sure we have everybody in tune, and because we know that our coaching staff going to give us the game plan. JJ's not going to send us out there on a wild goose chase. Nope, we're going to be, he and his coaching staff, they're going to make sure we know what the hell we need to do in order to get the job done, and then it's up to us to go get it done.
You guys are going to mind the game.
And right.
You guys are not together.
Always do.
Fuck.
Season 2, Steve Nash.
Season 2.
Available soon. Hey, we can't thank you enough for stopping
No,
by.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, dude.
Great
Legitimately.
man.
You're
appreciate
awesome.
you boys over there, man.
I didn't know we were snapping after. I feel like I missed it.
Yeah, when I found out you was a Celtic fan, I thought you were going to throw a beer on me. Like, what happened?
No.
What is that? Is that what's the one?
Yeah, after I went for 45 in there, that threw a beer on me.
Yeah, the Heat. I mean, if you're supposed to heat that stuff wrong, but I also do.
So let me say this. They're wrapping up now. There's no more real questions or anything like this. So let me say this. As he just mentioned, the 45, 15 and 7, I believe. 2012 playoffs. Celtics win that game. It's pretty much a wrap for that series. And LeBron went into the Garden and he played what I believe is, Sid Bubba, where are you with me on this? One of the top 5 playoff performances of all time. Top 7. He dominated, destroyed, demolished, eviscerated the Celtics like just in an incredible, incredible fashion. 45, 15, and 5. Thank you, Sid Bubba. And I gotta give him his due for one of the most incredible playoff performances I have ever seen in my life. Like, that was not good. Not good at all. No, he completely destroyed him. So I definitely want to make sure that I say that. And I think I've said it on this show before, man. But again, because I don't worship him, y'all don't hear any positive things I say about him. But no, that was just an incredible, incredible, incredible performance by LeBron James in the playoffs. That was probably right there along with his 48 special. But it was dominant from the beginning. Anyway, so that was the interview, man. I know that was long, but I wanted to make sure that no one is going to accuse me of only cutting negative parts. I gave you guys the whole interview. I'll let you hear it. I gave you my thoughts. We interacted a lot during the chat. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a few minutes of calls because I'm not just the guy that likes to sit here and bloviate and give my thoughts and not interact with you guys and not hear what you have to say. So y'all know what time it is, man. Let's take some calls and hear what you guys have to say. Let's go. But yeah, I think that interview, again, it had a lot of stuff I didn't agree with. It had, and I mean, realistically, I didn't agree with it, but it wasn't just that I didn't agree with it. One thing about me, I can factually refute anything that I don't agree with. It's just like, oh, I don't like that. You're a hater. He a hater. No. You have to be able to factually refute things, and that's something I take pride in being able to do. Let's go ahead and take this call.
Yeah,
Chief, good afternoon.
Hey, what up, Bruce?
Hold on. I can't hear you. All
I
right.
got you.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, Chief. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you, Bruce.
How you doing, man?
I told you what I thought about that interview.
I thought it was good. I thought it was
a good interview,
but it was good. It could have been handled better by McAfee, though. But go on.
What did I tell you? The comments. This was a revenge deal for the comments Stephen A. made. Stephen A. made a lot of comments, but he also made comments concerning LeBron and black journalists. So what does LeBron do? He could have went to any platform right there and then, but he chose to do that to give Stephen A. the big middle finger.
But Stephen A.'s thing is, I'm not even looking for you to come on my show, right? Stephen A. knows that's not going to happen. So right. you couldn't have picked someone else. Why didn't you go on Club Shay Shay? Why didn't you go on the Draymond Green show? Right?
He knew that.
And those aren't even journalists. So you're gonna get the super softballs and zero pushback from those guys, right?
But he did that on purpose, like you said. So a lot of stuff. Now, one thing I did take in consideration, and I had to think about it, and I think the decision really bothered him.
Okay.
In his mind, and the way he viewed it, he didn't catch slack until then. And I was going through your clips of him flopping and everything. I didn't see any of those first couple of years in Cleveland. Not like
point.
that.
Good point.
I
don't think so either.
But it was all different. So that's the way I was thinking. So I really think this was a strategically held video to go at Stephen A. and pick somebody in their own media to show, okay, yeah, I'm part of this media train. LeBron ain't really, that's what I'm thinking on it.
I think you're right. I don't think he's too worried about it at all. I just thought that he said, you know what, enough is enough. Like he said, Stephen A is he's on a tour. You know what I'm saying? Every time somebody has something to say, he does another show talking about this. So it's time for me to say what I have to say now. And in fairness, he didn't spend the whole time talking about it, which was cool. He talked about a whole lot of things. So I respect that. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. You know, I thought it was an interesting interview overall. Again, not the way I would have handled it. But again, I also can't hold McAfee to the standards that he's not trained for and isn't educated in and hasn't really worked in, you know? So, it's
and a lot of things he did, I think he misspoke. He's the king of misspeaking. Because you got guys like us who will look to fact check, oh, you were 8 here. Oh, the Hummer came out here.
Mm-hmm.
This happened there.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff, I think he just kind of, rattle on. So I don't think he just try to, have some super deceitful lies. He try to, what we call misrepresentations. There's a whole lot of them in this speak.
Okay.
So do I think he tried? Nah. Because I don't think he knew enough about Hummer to make that statement.
Right.
I don't think he was educated enough.
So
even though he had one.
Sorry. No, agreed. My thing is this, and it's the same thing I told Young Disciple last night. It's two things. One, he's been caught lying so many times, or at the very least being disingenuous. It's very hard to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's one. And then two, we know that he knew what the subjects of discussion were going to be prior to going on McAfee, right?
Right.
This is LeBron. He's not going and getting quote unquote interviewed by anyone without knowing what these topics are. So you would think you would be better prepared so that you don't, now slip ups are going to happen. You're a human being, but that you don't, make so many statements that are consistently perpendicular to other things you've said previously.
Right.
Even more so, like not even things you said years ago, but things you said earlier in the same interview. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you would think for someone who has been in the public eye since he was 16, he would be better at this. But I'm just a hater. I'm just hating on another black man, right? That's what they say, right? So,
Bruce, I could say this. Although we have our sides and we have our disagreements,
right.
You do come with the objective fact.
I try to.
You got to. But see, this is what I say that when I make my statement, like, MJ, Pip, and Phil.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that Michael wouldn't have been great with those guys. He's still going to be great. But his legacy is enhanced because when you got your teammates to help you win 6, and Mike even he even says that as well.
Absolutely.
So that's not to not knock him down, but then too, you got to have a system in place.
Mm-hmm.
Mike had a system and a reliable guy he grew with for years.
Absolutely.
LeBron didn't have that. And I love Mike Brown. Young coach, he did great. He let him go. But a lot of the plays that he ran when he was coaching with San Antonio, you can't beat Pop with his own plays.
Right.
So, I mean, I looked at it from that perspective.
Mm-hmm. So the thing I'll say about that, Chief, is this, right? When it comes to LeBron, Mike Brown won 60 games with him twice.
He did.
And he won Coach of the Year. And he was one of the best defensive teams in the league, more than once. Right. So all of that is true. And then on top of that, my problem with LeBron is no one, in my estimation, I'm not saying this is a fact, but I believe it to be fact. No one should be ever able to complain about LeBron not having a system because he can't play in one. We watched this dude for all these years. There's no way he would be effective playing in a system. That's why the term the system came out, right? He's not that type of basketball player. Right. And so, with that being the case, he should not get a pass for, he never had a Phil Jackson. He never had a Greg Popovich. There's a reason for that. One, he wants to control the coach. Two, he can't play in a system. So like we can't do that. And it's not me taking shots at LeBron. This is just what is in evidence over the past 22 years of arguably the greatest career in basketball history.
Right. But I think he did. I think he did well with Pat now. Whether he want to admit it or not, I think those were his best years.
Mm-hmm.
He had a shooting coach, Chris Gent. If you notice in those years that he had probably shooting 40% from the three.
I did see that.
50-something percent. Mm-hmm. He was hitting in the mid range. he was doing everything. And then going with Kareem, one of my biggest complaints as a LeBron guy, you never post up little guys. And I think I screamed this, and I was Skip Bayless's first
Hello?
come on.
Okay, there you go.
That he didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
He did dribble, shoot. And I was just like, no.
Right.
You got a little guy, you got to take him.
Agreed.
So, yeah, a lot of it, too, I think, something happened with LeBron. I don't know if drama therapy here around, but I think something happened around that 2010, 11.
Mm-hmm.
Dude changed from there. He wasn't the same guy no more to me. Hey, that pressure got to him. Pressure changes people.
It does. It does. But you know, I don't know.
I'm not gonna take up all my time. I gotta salute my king, Steve Splendor. You know, a man's man who don't talk about other men's draws. That's a real king.
Correct. I'm gonna leave that alone. But see, this is how you know when a LeBron fan is over the top, when they try to say you're reading too much into that. There's no reading too much into that. You don't talk about another man's draws. Like, that's just, what are you thinking? What is that? What are you thinking? Nah, man.
No. I think the thing is, it is a serious battle against legacy, because if you take a LeBron fans are gonna take a stand, they're gonna ride with him, good, bad, or indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that he can't do no wrong and he don't make mistakes. Yeah, he does. Everybody does. Mike made his. But the fact is, it just seemed like everybody wants to, exacerbate his flaws more than anybody else's. Like, nobody else made mistakes. Like, Magic didn't make his. Larry didn't make his.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody had to take their lumps.
Mm-hmm.
But the way you handle it might be the way people view it. It's just how you handle things.
Yeah,
and I think that's your issue. How he handles and how he moves. I don't think you have any. I don't think you have a problem with it personally. No,
I don't know him. I can't have a problem with him personally.
But there you go.
You used the perfect word, exacerbate, right? And part of the biggest thing is, again, to your point, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. But the fact is that LeBron and his people are constantly inundating us with this GOAT narrative, right? So there's that. There's the fact that we completely ignore, not we, but some of us completely ignore the fact that you have the most finals losses for any former MVP, right? There's the fact that people, as I keep saying it, they act as if he heals the sick, walks on water, raises the dead. I'm not saying you, but there's a lot of people like that. There's the fact that anyone who critiques him gets attacked viciously as a hater and this, that, and the third, right? And so this is why it's so difficult to deal with him. And also because he's always looking for the cameras, right? You're always looking for the cameras, but you don't expect the other side of it to come with that. So that's my thing. Right. But it is what it is, man. Yeah,
if you seek attention, you will find it.
You will find it, correct.
You will find it
correct.
if you seek it.
Yeah.
If you find it.
Yeah.
So this is another reason why a lot of guys are so closely guarded. I know Scottie Pippen, I would want to bring him on, but guess what? Everything that he trying to do, or if it goes out, it get dissected. Because something he could say a year ago or 2 years ago, then somebody will focus in and say that. So that's why a lot of these old guys are real protective in what they see, who they be around, what they do. I keep a secret.
Yeah.
The body, body get buried. You ain't. Hey, I ain't spilling it.
I mean, but nor should you, right? But I mean,
nor should I.
And see, here's the thing, right? This is where, and again, it's just a difference in what you've done and where your education lies. Because let's say you were to hook up an interview with Scotty. I would have to say, first thing, Scotty, I'm going to be 100% transparent. Well, first thing, thank you so much for being here. Very small platform. You didn't have to take your time to do this. But I would have to, first thing, I got to be 100% honest. I've been very critical of a lot of the things that you have said over time in regards to Michael Jordan. I can't understand it. And from then, we're going to go into it. Right. I'm going to give some pushback. He's going to push me back. And that's fine, right? We may not agree on everything, but that's the nature of the job that I would be trying to do in interviewing that guy.
Right. And you know, that because like I told him, I don't think you guys would have went 6, you know, against the Showtime Lakers in the 86 Celtics because the way the game was played.
Okay. What did you have to say about that?
Said they only did it. They're a one-trick pony. We did it 6 times.
Wow.
Well, but he told the truth 6 times. Yeah, he did it 6 times, but I don't think he would have done it 6 times against them.
No.
It was so hard. It was hard back then. No.
That would have been incredible.
It was tough. It was tough. Yeah. I just the reason I didn't want to discredit him and MJ, but those top 75 Lakers of the old Lakers and Celtics team, you know, I have my biases because I just can't see anybody beating them except them beating each other. You know, Philly got in, but that was tough. Those days were real tough.
That's right. That's right.
Because everybody, you had, man, a top 70 player from point guard to the bench. So, yeah, but I think hopefully, you know, LeBron could transition out and these new kids be a lot better off. Yeah, but hey, this ain't the end. This is only the beginning.
Not at all.
So now him and the Clutch team are going to him and the Clutch team, they gonna go ahead and go in the media. That's what I tell you.
Oh, I can see that. I absolutely can see that. That would be a brilliant move. They've been prepping for that, and why wouldn't they? They understand how media works, and they're very gifted at it. Why wouldn't they?
That's what he does. So I don't get mad. I kind of chuckle when I say, "Yeah, LeBron is really just selling the call." You know, but everybody want to get. But that's what I say that with the tongue in cheek. It's an oversell. Like, you know, you touch the guy, LeBron hit about 6 steps back there, fall down, roll down, to grab his neck and roll again.
Yeah, that would come on.
So he overdoes that because he feels that these refs miss calls, so he does that to kind of get back up. He's very petty. My king is a petty king.
but my thing is, like, one, you do it and it's so egregious, and then 2, you're constantly telling us that you don't flop and you don't know how to flop. And all the evidence is out there. Don't do that, man.
Yes.
And when people ask you about flopping, just ignore that. Don't act like you didn't hear it. Don't lie to us. Like, that's my biggest thing. Stop lying. You know?
Right. My thing is, well, it's not the lie. You can lie to me a little bit. But, you know, but hey, but don't pee on my leg. I'm looking at you and saying it's rain. Now, we got problems with that.
No doubt. I feel you on that. You got anything else, brother?
Nah, that's not it. But get ready for that Stephen A. response. So get that together.
Yeah. I listened to it this morning. I liked it.
I'm sure you did.
I enjoyed it. It was entertaining.
All right.
Thank you for the
shout
call,
out
Chief.
to my boy Horizon.
Yes.
E-Dog. What's up, man? Say Memphis, man. What's happening? But I'll tell you later. Bye.
No doubt, Chief. Thanks so much, man. You have a great. I appreciate the call, brother. All right, man. Another great call from Sid Bubba. I'll take a couple more calls if anybody wants to get in and have something to say. Kareem Duncombe, I know you were trying to call last night, but the great Steve Splendor, aka King of the Chat, and that was a tough follow, so you didn't call in. So if you wanted to call in and give your thoughts, man, that would be cool. Yeah, or anybody else, obviously. I'll just wait a couple more minutes. If not, I'll get up and take the dog out because he's been yelling at me for a while. But yeah, so I guess I'll just, while I'm waiting, I'll just wrap it and say, man, I thought that this was just a very entertaining, if not interesting, interview. You guys kind of heard my take on all the different things. In listening, I rather enjoyed the Stephen A. Smith rebuttal. I thought that was really good. And like I said, I'll likely get on in a couple hours this afternoon and do that one. I think that's going to be entertaining as well. It wasn't quite as long as this one, but we'll see what we got. Oh, here's Steve. Let's go. Steve, what's going on, my man?
Not much, Bruce. I just wanted to call, give my thoughts.
Yes,
a little bit of what you broke down. You did a good job bringing it. Shout out Sid. Shout out everybody in the chat. I don't know. I think the only pushback I'd actually give you, maybe this is my personal preference, where I'm just disappointed because I guess I'm just tired of it. We don't see anybody in the mainstream media, and I know you kind of premised how Pat McAfee isn't technically a journalist,
right?
But he is mainstream media at this point. So it's like, I can't give him this pass where it's like, you might not have a traditional background, you might not have the education or the credentials to conduct a proper interview. I mean, I don't know. That's my slight pushback, but I understand what you're saying. Technically, you are correct. But he is mainstream media. The guy makes a ton of money.
Sure does.
He has LeBron sitting there, and it was just a glaze fest.
It was.
He didn't push back on anything.
Nope.
He didn't ask a single difficult question.
Nope.
He didn't even, I mean, and I get it, like, they didn't go too deep into the Stephen A thing, but it's like, you can't even offer a perspective where it's like, could you explain where Stephen A went out of bounds discussing Bronny?
Great.
Because Bronny is a professional athlete, and Stephen A's job is to give his opinions on these things as a journalist. So it's like, I don't know. I kind of listened to that, and be honest, I kind of tuned out, not on your part, but it's like the actual interview, because it was just softballs.
Yeah.
It was just a bunch of, and I'm down with guys getting together and bullshitting and exchanging and stuff, but it's like, this wasn't really an interview. I mean, I guess technically you could say it's an interview. I was kind of
a conversation, a discussion.
Yeah, it was a conversation. It was pretty much a glaze. As soon as it started, like, he pulled up in his big car, and as soon as he came out, it was just like, you're putting him above you already to start this. Where it's like, let me humble before the king. I don't know. I thought it was kind of lame. I'm not the biggest Pat McAfee fan myself. I don't dislike the guy, but it's like, this is just another guy. He's another puppeteer in the line of La Media puppets that LeBron controls the strings of. You could see it. There wasn't a difficult question. I'm never going to take a LeBron James interview seriously until somebody grows a pair. I said it in the chat. Somebody grows a pair and asks him the difficult question. Why was your friend and your wife's name on that PED scandal list? Why do you enjoy Diddy parties so much?
So that can't be a member of the NBA media. That's got to be someone external. And I don't know if LeBron would be willing to sit down with one of those journalists, because one of the things that I was told in journalism school, I remember I was doing an interview on somebody, and I was excuse me, and I was telling the editor of the paper, the digital platform at the school, say, I'm going to get ready to send him over the questions here so he can be prepared. And she says to me, if you really want to get honest answers, don't ever send the questions first. Now, some people may say that they won't allow you to interview if they don't know what's coming in advance, but if they won't allow you to interview at that point, then just don't interview them. Or if they say, well, we won't talk about this, and that, don't take the interview, because then you're not really doing a service to the reader or the listener. And so I hear what you're saying. And with that, I don't think LeBron would ever sit for a real hard-hitting interview with somebody outside of the very friendly NBA media sphere.
Well, I guess that's fair. That makes sense. But man, I'll be honest. I'm just to the point now. He double speaks. He contradicts himself so much. Even with the soft, easy interviews, I'm ready for somebody to come at him. I'm ready for somebody to come at him with these tough questions. Right. Because if I have to parade around and listen to the call talk about how he's the GOAT, he's better than Jordan, and all he does is he made himself look like a jackass on national TV with the decision, but it's about the kids. It was about the kids. It's like, that's the most double speak, double standard, narcissist nonsense that LeBron does. It's like, and obviously, God bless them kids. Like, okay, you raised some money for some kids,
which is good.
I'm not. Yeah, of course it is, but it's like, that just seems like a scapegoat to avoid the accountability, where it's like, you went on TV and made this about you.
Absolutely.
Like, if it wasn't about you, you would have never done it to begin with. So, I don't know. It's just like a byproduct of something that he can control the narrative of. I mean, credit. I didn't realize all that stuff, but that's how these things were prepped as far as like the questions have to be, vetted and all these different things. I didn't realize that, so you taught me something. But still, I'm just to the point where it's like, this guy's been around 20-some years. We haven't heard a difficult question. And then anybody in the media who actually tries to pose the questions, not even to him, but it's just like, hey, these are some pushback. It's like you get called out in the middle of a third quarter timeout. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even that it wasn't even that difficult, because I don't think Stephen A. went at Bronny that wrong. I don't think he came at him sideways.
Right.
Every time he discusses Bronny, he has to talk about what a great father LeBron is, and all that shit.
Right.
All that stuff. Excuse my French.
No, you
But yeah, I thought you did a good job breaking it down.
I appreciate that.
After a while was just like, this isn't real to me, because this is just like Sid was saying. What's going on right now is this media circus of like, this is a power struggle. It's like Stephen Stephen A. is a big name at ESPN. He's the guy at ESPN. LeBron went on after he just chastised Stephen A. in the middle of a game. Went on with Pat McAfee, his inside rival. Sat down with an hour. Pat McAfee just kissed his ass the whole time. It wasn't. Yeah. This is definitely a narrative pool. Sid called it from the beginning. Shout out to Sid. But that's pretty much my thoughts on the whole thing. I'm ready for somebody to have like an actual critical conversation with LeBron and ask him questions that are tough. Yes. Things that have been circling around his legacy forever. And it doesn't even have to be the Diddy parties. I guess you don't even have to go to the
right. Like, what you really going to say about that? Like, I was there.
Right.
I watched some degenerate stuff go down. Like,
Right.
Right.
But I mean, I think it'd be fair for somebody to say, like, why do you have a circular rotation of all these head coaches? Like, why is it like, what happened with the Darvin Ham situation? Like, did you have anything to do with AD? Did you have anything to do with, JJ Redick? Because it looks like from somebody who's, all these behavior patterns of yours in the past, like getting coaches fired and all of these leaks from the past, it makes us believe that you got Ham fired and hired your friend JJ from your podcast. And if you do that, have that type of leverage in LA, did you honestly not know about the Lucas situation? Because like, we're slowly seeing things that are kind of like, maybe he did know about the AD trade.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. It was I don't know. It just didn't seem like a very good quote unquote interview in my opinion.
Right. Hey, well, they had a discussion and they gave us a lot, and they gave us a lot to talk about and evaluate. So we'll just be grateful for that.
Yeah, that's true. That was the point. It was more about that than it was actually addressing situations about LeBron and asking him tough questions, because it was a media thing, propaganda style interview where he just gets to, without any pushback, give his side, talk about old heads,
right?
Talk about Stephen A. Smith straws, all that stuff. It's like nobody's gonna push back on him.
That was anyway.
I don't understand it. As a grown man to
that was terrible.
Make that type of statement,
right? But, there's no way that I would anyway. Okay.
You can't say those words, Bruce.
No,
I want to say them, but I said last night we're not allowed to say them.
Well,
I want to say it because I know if I was with my dude and one of them said something about that exact quote about another man and his wife, I'd all look at him and say exactly what we want to say. Like, bro, what are you on?
Right, exactly. That wouldn't be good at all.
No. All right, Bruce, that's about it for me, man. I'll let somebody else call in.
All right, Steve, I appreciate the call as always. Thank you, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you, bro. Have a good one.
No doubt, man. Nino, that was Steve, man. That was Steve. I'm sure you got something to say, Nino. You can give us a call if you like. I'll wait just a couple more minutes and take another call or two if anybody wants to call in. If not, we'll go ahead and shut it down. So I'll just wait another minute or two. But yeah, this was a lot. It was long, but he gave us a lot to listen to and a lot to break down. So we got what we got. Matter of fact, what time? Does anybody know what time that Maryland game is today? I want to see that. I want to watch this kid play. this is going to be obviously the biggest game of his young life so far. So I want to see. Let's see. I'm trying to find it right here, y'all. Derek Queen, NCAA men's basketball. Okay, so that game is about 7:40 tonight. Okay, all right. So on TBS, that should be a good one. Looking forward to that one. All right, y'all. Well, it looks like I'm not going to get any more calls on this. I was looking forward to hearing some more thoughts, but we're going to leave it right there, y'all. So anybody who's here who hasn't already, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe on the way out. And I really appreciate. Oh, no, we got one. Hold on. Nino, what's going on, brother? How are you?
What's good, bro?
Maintaining. How are you, man?
Man, pretty good. I ain't know that was my boy Steve. I'm gonna let him make it. I'm gonna let him make it. Steve the comedian. Hey, we gotta have Steve.
Yes, Steve is that dude.
The interview though, man, I didn't mind it, man. It just I really got no real comment about it, like. But I find it funny how you talk about Stephen A. 1-2 days and he go crazy. But he be talking about people for 20 years.
I mean, that is his job, right?
No. See, this is the problem with talking.
Okay.
His job is to cover the lead and talk about what he sees. But that don't mean just because this thing we're talking. Just because you talking, that don't mean anybody can talk. So you can't, whatever you say got consequences, just like they say to play. They can criticize you just like you criticize anybody. That's the problem with talking now. So the way you cover it, you can get covered the same way. Now I didn't like that Brian Ringhorse. I ain't like that. Like that now.
Right.
I ain't like that. Our boy Brian been on our side, but that might go to show you. These guys really These guys don't know Brian whether they like him or not. Y'all said he was on payroll now.
Yeah, but no.
Everybody said these guys on payroll.
Windhorst knows Brian. He's known him since they were in high school. And I believe Windhorst's mother was one of LeBron's teachers as well. So Windhorst was ahead of him in school. And then I think when he was in college in journalism school, he was at the Akron Beacon Journal, I believe. And he was covering LeBron. And then he got I think he got the Cavs beat. And then he got sent to Miami when LeBron went to Miami. And of course, he's with ESPN, so he's been covering LeBron the whole time.
I mean, he know him, but that don't mean he know him like that. It's like saying somebody you went to school with in 12th grade, they know you. But I get what you said. Now, as far as basketball go, they do know you. You know what I'm saying? But if Brian didn't tell him that he signed with Jordan because he signed with Nike because of Jordan, then Brian could have said what he said. But that. He didn't have to say it like that. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that was out of line, man. My boy Brian, man. Some of the Stephen A. stuff, Stephen A. do that for a living. So I let them go. They grown. They go back and forth.
Right.
I ain't really got nothing. Both of them entertainers. Both of them finna come out positive about for this.
Absolutely.
They coming up by this.
Yeah, so. I'm gonna break down Stephen A.'s discussion on it as well, so we can get both sides. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm loving this because this is giving tons of content, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's all they did, get content to everybody.
Yeah, man. He gave us tons of content, so like, how am I gonna be mad at that?
Another little issue I had was, but I know why he did it. He probably got tired. He probably get tired of everybody doing it to them. I didn't like the 70s comment. I feel that way. Not 250 points now.
Of course.
But I feel like he'd have been like a whip, just knowing what he knows. But I didn't like it because they paid the way for the league, like the old guys. But I'm pretty sure he probably, because Dr. J and them done threw shots at him. MJ, for real, MJ the only one really ain't threw no shot.
MJ the only one that really what?
Well, Bird, I don't think Bird threw no shots at Bird, but MJ the only one really ain't threw no shot. Dr. J done said something.
Bird has been very deferential to LeBron, very much so. He said he's one of the greatest he's ever seen.
I haven't heard MJ say nothing just like this era soft and all that. Now he probably feel that way.
Yeah,
you know he probably do.
Oh, you know he feels that way. Yeah, but MJ doesn't talk a lot. He's like, I don't need to. I'm above all that.
Only reason I said that because I think that was Jerry West. Now, if he said that because of Dr. J and all them other guys, then okay, I understand. He's only so much you can take. But I think Jerry West was in there, right? Was Jerry West in there?
In the 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry West played, I want to say, from, I believe, 58 to 74. I believe that's the career frame.
So I don't like no Jerry West disrespect. So that was indirectly, I don't like no Jerry West disrespect.
Right. But see, here's the thing that LeBron talks about, though, right? Remember he talked about the gather step in the NBA, right? If Giannis, this is what I said. Obviously, Giannis is extremely physically gifted. If he played in the 70s, he would foul out of every game, right? And he would foul out of every game, and also he would have 1 million turnovers, which means they would put him on the bench all the time.
So you ain't doing no gather step.
No gather step, no Euro step, no carrying, all that stuff. And think about it, right? Giannis is not a particularly fundamentally sound guy or not a great skill guy.
The call will be recorded.
The fact that...
The call is no longer being recorded.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So the fact that he's not a traditional power forward, where would he get the opportunity to be on the floor back then? Because they would tell him, Giannis, get your butt on the block and go to work. And that's not Giannis's game.
I agree. Now, see, I agree with that. That don't mean Bud can have his opinion on whatever he wants now, but I don't feel he right on that now.
Right.
I didn't like that. I didn't mind Steve Nash coming in, because they beefing right now. That's how it goes. I kind of liked it, actually. I'm like you. I kind of like we can talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
What you saying?
I was saying absolutely. I think it's a very good thing for the NBA because, look, the NFL draft is coming up and we're barely talking about it, right? The NBA is on fire right now because of this LeBron and Stephen A thing. And then it looks like we're going to have, a really good playoff season as well. You got an opportunity for the Celtics to maybe repeat. You got an opportunity for the Lakers to maybe make a run and get to the finals. And imagine another Lakers-Celtics finals, what that would be. You have an opportunity for a likely brand new MVP in SGA. You have an opportunity for another young team in OKC to maybe make a run and maybe they do something. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of good storylines. You got Detroit, who won, what they win? Less than 15 games last year? These dudes are
they like 4th or 5th, right?
Yeah, they about to have like the number 5 seed in the playoffs. Cade Cunningham is going to have an opportunity to get busy on the stage where people could see him. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in the NBA. And while this is not the most important, it's bringing attention back to the league. So they love this.
Oh, they love it. What else did he? What else was it? Them was the two for sure I really didn't like, had a problem with. The 70s comment and what Brian with her. What are you saying about the decisions? I mean, if you look back, I ain't got no problem with the decision, really, because at that time nobody's ever done it. So he probably thought he was raising a little money. He gonna do something ain't nobody never done. So, like you say, he wants to have a college field. I mean, I can't say what I do in that situation.
My biggest issue with the decision is not the decision, is that he didn't let his boss know prior to the decision. The owner who had made him, a 100+ millionaire should not have had to wait and find out on national TV like everybody else. I thought that was rude and disrespectful. When you're leaving a job, you're supposed to give 2 weeks notice, right? And that's a regular job.
I disagree with that.
Well, I'm just saying that's the generally accepted behavior, right? I didn't think that.
Yeah, when they fire you, they don't give you no 2 week notice. Hell no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Right. If you got the power now, if it's respectable though, yeah, you right. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like, but I don't like how it's been one sided. But I don't want it to go too far to the players' way. I like what Bron did for a minute.
Right.
But if you notice, everybody say what Bron do in this kind of league, but Bron played every contract. I don't like when they be having contracts like what I'm trying to say. They have contracts still to be played out, right? Mm-hmm. And then they'll say, take me here, I ain't gonna play. Now I don't think that's what it was for. That's what it turned into. But I don't like that. I don't really like that there now.
No,
I don't really
I'm
like
with you
that.
100%. I can always say, and I think I have always said, I have respect
Yeah, I
for the
heard
fact
you.
that LeBron has never forced a trade. He's always played out. Now, he's positioned his contracts in a way that would allow him to move how he wants to move when it's done, but he's never not finished a contract. He's never forced a trade or anything like that. So we gotta call a spade, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Forced trade, that's what it's called. If you want to structure, if you want to gamble on yourself and do a 2-year contract and you risk getting hurt, okay, that's fine. But
right.
signing for 5 years, playing 1 year and say, hey, I don't want to play here. Right. I ain't gonna show up late for practice. Nah, I don't like that. So I'm with the owners on that now.
Absolutely. You got
so I ain't got no problem with that. That's all I got, man. Hey, tell Steve, cut down the comedian talk, man. What's wrong with you? All right, Bruce, y'all hold it down, man.
Hey, no doubt, man. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks for the call, brother. I appreciate you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, y'all. I'm going to leave it right there. Wait, while we see. I just got some from Shams. Golden State Warriors guard forward Gary Payton II has sustained a torn ligament in his left thumb and will be sidelined indefinitely, sources tell ESPN. Brutal blow to the Warriors rotation. Oh, yeah, that's tough. It's tough. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to leave it right there. Again, if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe on the way out. Really appreciate you. And thanks so much for tuning in. I know this was a long one, but we had to get through it all. And now no one can accuse me of not playing the whole thing and only cutting out the negative parts, because I know that's what some people like to say and do. Anyway, I'll be back with you when I'm back with you, hopefully sooner rather than later, so we can discuss Stephen A. Smith's rebuttal to all of this. Again, thanks so much for tuning in, and we out. Peace.